Buddy, it's the afternoon show. We'll get that to Obi because obviously that is not Sean. Sean's still at the, well, you know, his daughter had a cross-country tournament. Or race, I should say, not tournament, cross-country race today. So he's doing the dad thing, which is awesome. That's what you always have to do. What is not awesome is why, okay, two things. First of all, no, I was in a meeting. No one even asked me if I was okay with this rap battle stuff. Oh boy. But we always try to have fun with it. That said, I don't really understand the logic of everyone preferring a rap battle versus getting to watch Sharif and Sataya do breakdancing in front of the green screen. Like, what are we even talking about here? Like, it's so very clearly more entertaining to watch breakdancing than me pretend that I can rap and Adara do really well at it. And the other thing I'm going to get to, look, it's 2 o'clock. The market is heading high. We got to rise on Apple 100%. Oh yeah. I'm in Nikola. We'll get into that in a second. And that SGMT that Sharif was mentioning, it just feels like it's kind of like a free roll, man. Yeah. And what's going on here, I want to just quickly point this out. Can we come to my chart for a second? Because I know we're going to get into the individual symbols. So you see this, you're like, oh, it's a hell offer. There's another dynamic to this that's going on with SGMT. For anyone that was just watching this with Sharif on the midday, it's very specifically NSXB, which is not the most common gateway. So this is like a kind of a abnormal gateway that you don't usually see as often, and it's holding the level. Every now and then it'll be something that people can't route, not everybody can route to, so it'll get down, it'll fill everybody but this 100 lot when it gets there. So the way I see it, it breaks, I'm just firing an order. Like if we break this order, I'm just firing to 42, right? Like there's, I mean, whatever. Like I'm gonna fire to 42. I'll probably get filled 41 or 42s and maybe a blend of both prices. I'm gonna have a tight stop. Like the last time I saw this, it was Pinterest a couple of years ago. It was pins and doing better volume, but it was like an easy free roll, risk a few cents, and then a bit of a breakout level. So it is what it is. When you look at this on the higher time frame, it looks okay as well. There it goes. I wanted to make sure we got this in because you're like, why are you trading this random stock that no one knows about? So you got some resistance at like 53, 54, and then maybe $4, and that's all I'm playing into. I'm just going to get some orders out here. And again, I don't even know what the story is. It doesn't really matter. But you show me a consolidation with higher lows that lasts for a couple of hours, and I'm willing to take a shot at it here on, yeah, I'm just going to call them Segment. How about that? SGMT, Segment. I have no idea what the company's name is, but Segment sounds good. SGM, Sagent Biosciences, Inc. There you go.
Close. That's close.
No, that's the last time I'm going to say that. Sagent. Okay, so Sagent. I'm only in 2 positions: Nikola retracement and SGMT. But Obi,
yes, sir.
Apple is bamboozling some people up.
Oh yeah, Apple. That Apple move was a little bit of a shake and bake through the low. Nice little consolidation near its highs, trading in the upper quartile while the market is pulling back into the 20 thou. So definitely some buying going on there, and then it breaks the range low. Whoop. Right back up. Nice little lick grab for a push back into a prior level that might be a little interesting. It has been acting as support for the past couple of weeks there on Apple. What do I have there? At 227.20s-ish, I think I have an alert, and we're pushing right up into that level as of right now. But yeah, no. I think that Sharif is ready for us at the green screen to cover what tickers you guys proposed.
That is right, Obi, but we're going to welcome everyone first at the afternoon rundown, the show where you guys decide what we talk about every day. As you saw, the big kahunas are locked and loaded, and they're ready to take the tickers as decided by you. So join us during the midday How to Trade show and get into that chat, but it's a subs-only chat where you can vote for your favorite tickers, but only the top 5 make it on. So make sure to persuade your friends. Let's look at the future first. You can see the NQ in positive territory, a bit above 1/3% in the green. You're seeing the RUS flat, the ES flat, the Dow marginally green at these points. I think they're all green, but just the latter 2 are flat. Let's start with the first ticker as decided by you guys. Tesla, a bit of a tough day, but it's been very strong as of late. Today in the morning, we got the Q3 deliveries there in the pre-market. You saw it live with Obi and Neil trading it live in the pre-market on the show. Look, the deliveries were decent. I mean, they were largely in line. It was a small miss, but analysts coming out and saying, hey, look, it's a good move in the right direction, but there's still more heavy lifting to be done by Elon to get this stock stock back to where it needs to be. Remember, guys, 10/10, October 10th, that robotaxi event.
Oh shoot! Now I had a thing for that, and now I already forget the station. Oh my goodness! No, 1010 is like a what the heck is Patty? I should know this
20.
one. 1010 is the traffic station here. Yeah, but I forget the actual call for it, so I've completely mucked that up.
I know 210s, the song by Anderson
What's it
.Paak
called?
and Corday.
Yeah, it's like 10 on the 10, whatever. You get traffic on the 10 on the 10 here locally. So every, like at 10:10, you get the traffic, and then every 10 minutes after that, yada, yada, yada. You know what I just bungled. Before I get to Tesla, I want to give a big shout out to Sagent. What was it? Sagent Biosciences, Inc. So because it went 40 to 50.
Oh, you got that.
So because it went 40 to 50, I'm going to be like, I'm going to use your name a couple more times.
Sick.
But I do have to look up. The other thing that I actually didn't even realize, even though I was looking straight at it, it's got a 10% short flow, which actually makes this even a little bit better. They report on the 11th of November. Hey, look at that. We were just talking about 10:10. These guys report 11:11. So I'm going to get to Tesla in a quick thing. But I just wanted to show that break, which to me, I was going to risk to 38, but you could reasonably have risked to 39 there. I'm now break even. It gets underneath 340. I'm out. I've taken out essentially 60% of the position, and now we'll just see if it can go. It's really just, I mean, like, come on. Like, how many opportunities do you, like, I can't remember the last time I've seen this outside of Pinterest. I'm sure it does happen, but a clean breakout. That said, today is about Tesla and today is about the deliveries.
Yep.
So, very clearly, Sharif just mentioned that it wasn't like they were bad numbers. It was just like a slight miss or, according to some, maybe even a slight beat. I think that's not the operative or relevant point. What was obvious is, I just realized I have to go back to a 3-minute because I don't like using 1 minute. We're on a 1 minute for the lesson of the day. What was obvious from the get-go is that they were selling it. They were selling on the news, and it was a dump off that found its first bid significantly at $250. So that gave you an area to transact at, and then immediately first bid at $250, and then resistance at $250. That's been the trade today. Unless you had the long off at $241, kudos to you if you picked that one out and got that long. I think trading off at $250 made the most sense. Unfortunately, I was in a meeting here, and I think that was the only other place I could have traded it today was right in there at about 12:30 when it did that higher low, this little pull back into VWAP. But you trade 250, you're able to take $4 a couple of times there. I had a scalp trade that really didn't follow through, but this one followed through to VWAP. I know you're still in that one. You know where the big line is, and it's going to be the $250 level. A close above that, I think, will be pretty constructive for Tesla. A VWAP is VWAP, but closing above 250 to me is what's going to matter a little bit more here for TSLA, just based on the way the price action has gone here, Obi.
Yeah, no, I like that. Looking for that continuation trade off of the open there. It kind of showed itself what it wants to do at 250, in my opinion. When we were there for the news, it comes out, it attempts a bid through 250, can't even get there in the pre-market, and then flushes down to 246 is an attempt at that same kind of level once again right off of the open. But take a look at that. This is red line anchored to the event, and then this blue line is just the regular VWAP as well. And you can see that kind of some selling pressure coming in and around that 250, confluenced with both those VWAPs there for a push down into 241 halves, 241.49 actually, and then yeah, that's where it really did do the turn. And then interestingly enough, it gives you another trade, in my opinion, right here when it bids all the way back up, kind of reverting from the day low, pushing into the day high, and can't even print that much higher off of that initial high there. So that initial high all right off of the open, this is a 3-minute chart, happened on the second 3-minute candle there, is 250.78, and take a look at this high right here. 250.78 was that prior high. It only gets up to 251.15, doing a bit of a lick grab, coming right back through those 80s off of the open, and then taking a nice little reversion back down into VWAP there on Tesla. So let's see what Tesla has in store for us going forward for the rest of the day. Definitely delivering on this price action along with those deliveries.
I see what you did there.
Get it, Obe. 12.5% in the red is Humana today off this headline. They said they're exploring all available options to mitigate that expected 2026 headwind related to their 2025 star rating. That's the Medicare Advantage, that 2025 Medicare Advantage rating. It looks like it's hurting it's hurting them in a sense. So they're looking at challenging it. And if they are unsuccessful, it's going to be a bit of a headwind for them. So they announced that today, and the market did not like it, guys, but off the lows.
Yeah, like one is 12.5% down, not that bad. I think when the price action since has been pretty solid. Whoops, I zoomed out too far. So I'm just going to explain I didn't trade this. I should have traded. I can argue that I should have traded Coinbase for that SSR bounce, but then when looking back at Tesla, I think it was the right choice to trade Tesla instead. I think that's pretty defensible. But if I was trading this stock for an SSR bounce, I don't think it was all that complicated. 2020 lows, you can see the wick bottom here at 210, obviously, and then you can see like a support level at 230. So you got a couple of, realize I can just do that, and double click, and that goes away. Don't have to shift. I'm so adjusted to like the shift with my multiple desktops. So you had already bounced off of 210 in the pre-market. So you made that bounce off the significant levels a lot of stocks have in the last 5 years. So you got the pandemic low that's already bounced pre-market. Then it had these higher lows right in here about 213, 214. That's exactly where you look for, that's exactly where I would look for an SSR bounce. You get right at the open, a test of that low, a wick down underneath the first even dollar. You get a recapture above it, the higher low entry, somewhere in this range at 15s, risk to the bottom, and then the rest is sort of history. That's the trade that I think when you're looking for a mean reversion, you want something down that 10% that's SSR. There was an example of that with Coinbase as well, because Coinbase, as you remember yesterday, did tag 10% to the downside. It did a similar move into a support level, so SSR down there, did a reversion yesterday. This morning, fail break at the low of the day, double bottom, and then there is your recovery trade. It's a very particular setup where you're looking for it to run and then hold a defined bottom, play the higher low. Humana certainly gave you that. I'm not here to tell you that's anything other than a day after gimmick trade, but it's one that you can usually do with a tight risk for a decent trend style trade when it's over 10% down. Obviously, closing above VWAP is a big deal, and 250. How easy is it finding that top? I'm not trading stuff, but 250 here at 7 a.m., 250 at 1:30, clean resistance on Humana. So if you're holding that long, clearly a no break of 250, and you got to find yourself an exit point. If it breaks that out, it could go even more.
Yeah, I was looking at Humana this morning, showed up on a few scans there. This 201 prior low there, and maybe some more interesting stuff in like I think it was 207s, 208s, roughly, and that kind of happened to be this, the pre-market low this morning in the morning session right there. You can see 207 clean bottom right there in the pre-market session. And yeah, oh boy, we talk about getting sold off into the close and then a strong flush in the pre-market off of a catalyst. Nice, beautiful reversion that, again, it can't wait for the open. It just it starts to happen. This thing is over, definitely a little overextended in the pre-market there. Over about 23%? Yeah, 26% flush on the way to the downside, and yeah, a little bit of a 20% reversion there off of those lows, still continuing to the upside, Neil. So this thing, oh boy, how far will it revert? That 250 is the high as of right now, 249.90 exactly. Kind of reminds me a little bit of Tesla, but different ticker. 250 is a nice price.
It's a good price.
All right, guys, Palantir stock up next, up nicely here, 3.25%, literally at the highs as we speak. What's going on with it? Why is it moving? Well, according to an article from Barron's, it looks like Peter Thiel is done selling the shares that he wanted to offload. He sold about 12.412 million shares for an average price of $36.85 per share from September 27th to the conclusion on October 1st under that 10B51 trading plan. So it looks as if he's done selling. Market likes that, so they're taking the opportunity to buy it up.
So, I was just telling Obi, we've been talking about two levels on Palantir, $36.50 and then $35.8. One of which you've had no opportunity. You had one chance to trade $35.80, and it was pretty clean. Now the $36.50 level on Palantir has been gold. Like hold, it's not always to the penny, but we're talking within 10 cents, which is good enough on Palantir. It's like a hold 36.50, a hold 36.50, a break away from 36.50. Sometimes you're holding well above. Ignore pre-market action in here 2 days ago, but on Monday, there's a little bit of a dip. It barely breaks the 40, you break out. And then, of course, the one day that level holds no significance, like none at all. Like the 36.50 was completely useless except for the fact that it closed at that price, just underneath the 36.46. That's what I should have paid attention to. The fact that you ended up closing there, because look what happened at the open. You get a test above that close, pull back, holds the bottom, simple, doesn't break the low, there's only one place to go. Right? You do not break the low, you come back out, you take out that high. That is a very, very clean long breakout setup. I mean, as clean as it gets. That said, was trading Tesla this morning. So it is, you can't trade them all. Actually, trading Tesla and Amazon in the morning, like Amazon for the long. But obviously, Palantir, that's a very clean breakout. It's gone now. You're pretty much into the lower high resistance on the daily. So it's hard for me to think this is going to carry on. It's going to happen. I'm just going to get rid of that line there. Like you're pretty much at this resistance line. Might consolidate. If you can consolidate here, maybe a little dip and continue the trend. There's probably room to 38, but it's really slowing down here. But the Palantir 36.5 was an absolute gift. Like the one day, it didn't look like it was anything. It closed at that price, and that should have been the hint to get into it. The daily chart speaks for itself at this point on Palantir. I think you just had a bit of a lit grab as well at 36 even. And you're seeing the results. It's probably going to take out those highs. Just a quick update. You did see me in two positions at Sagent Pharmaceuticals. And I was in Nikola to the south side. So Nikola was running. I got in before trend broke. Well, that was stupid. Got in after the trend broke and pulled that. I was trying to hold for a break of VWAP in there. I'm like, oh, this is going to fall apart because I don't think Nikola, whatever. I thought it was going to fall apart and get down to $5. I trailed it to $5.50. So I'm now out after Nikola bounces off VWAP here. Lost on the first, made on the second. Overall, I'll be slightly up on it, but that was an undisciplined first trade. So, it's barely up anything because of that. And then thinking we'd hit some more home runs on Nikola. So I'm just in Sagent as we speak, but Palantir, hats off.
Yeah, no, Palantir has been crazy. That level, again, talk about what levels really mean things, and it's like, it's very, very clear that the support has been consolidating here since mid-September there on Palantir. You can see a nice little consolidation holding that 36 base, and then I also have, a little bit of an anchored from, I guess, whatever this event was on September 6th right there. I'm forgetting specifically what it was, but again, it's been holding above that level as well, kind of consolidating, pushing for higher highs. And look at how strong it is on the day, giving you a level to level from the low of the range all the way up to the high of the range. Let's see if some of these sellers come right back in and kind of continue this consolidation, or is the strength a little bit stronger than normal, and maybe we do get a little bit of a push. But you can see the highs of this consolidation sitting at 38. So could be interesting. A lot of opportunity in the morning session, and maybe a little bit of the midday too as well. Again, accelerated off of VWAP very, very early, holding trend on Palantir.
This is the 15-minute chart on Clover Health. There is no red candle on this chart to be spoken of. It is it's a rocket ship. Looks really good, up 25%, 25.5%. Couple of headlines. This came in yesterday. The SEC concluded their investigation into Clover Health. We're not going to go into the specifics, but there was also this headline today: unusual options activity. Not surprising, given the conclusion of the investigations. The market loving it, and it's printing highs, guys.
Move in Clover. I mean, a lot of times we'll use the term, I'll use the term linear move to the upside. And I think one of the problems is
Nothing,
if you look at a linear move, and I made one trade on Clover. We risked 4 cents on it. Thankfully, we risked 4 cents on it and not a bigger move.
I saw that, yeah.
Because it just would have been bad, obviously. I can hear them in my ear, guys.
Love that.
So
Thank you
if
for
you
telling
look
me
at
that.
this
That's
move,
important. Fuck, I just...
like, look at this.
I knew there was something like...
Look at that. Like, that is as clean as it gets. I think a lot of times when you're looking for a mean reversion trade, you want an obvious break of the trend, or you want some kind of big parabolic action away from the gentle trend. Like, if I can do a line of best fit for the entire day that it barely moves up, this isn't even a trend line. I just sort of eyeballed that. And you don't have anything crazy. Like, even when it tries to get away from it, it doesn't really venture that far at all. Like, it's just a weird one. And I feel like this could just go and go, and until it makes either an obvious break of that clean trend line, or we get some kind of a red candle on the 15-minute would be a nice start, or a parabolic move up that extends too far. Those are the kinds of things that I think, until it gets to previous highs on the daily, what are you even thinking about? If you're long, it's like, why just be in the trend? And if you're thinking for the short, let it get to the high, let it make a parabolic move, let it break the trend line in. Because it's so easy to pick spots when it's linear like this. Like on a 15-minute, you're not going to see anything. On a 3-minute or a 5-minute or 1 minute, you're going to see a million chances in a move like this to try to revert it. Like, it's going to set up here, it's going to set up here, it's going to set up here and here and here. Like, it's just like 12, 15 times. And just as a mea culpa, I'll tell you this right now. The very first day that DWAC, no, it was day 2. I think it was day 2 on DWAC. I traded it 27 times, 23 times to the short side when it was doing this. Now, I got blind luck that the 23rd time it reverted pretty much half the move back in, so I ended up making money on the stock, but it was like one of the dumbest afternoons I had ever had trading, because if I had just waited for an actual break of the clean trend, you could have only made one trade. I think that's what you got to look here for Clover. It's an unbelievable one there. And David, before I go to you, Obi, David in the chat here, David ruled that the stock needs to touch VWAP multiple times in the first 30 to 40 minutes to rule out a trend day. Then it's more likely to return to VWAP. I like that. It doesn't matter whether I use that rule or not is irrelevant. I think that sounds like a great rule. You have to back test it yourself. But you're right. If it's allergic to VWAP, that's to me all the more reason that you need something spectacular for the mean reversion. For me, like I said, I need to get to that 380, or I needed to do something parabolic that goes too far, or a very clean trend break. Like the most extreme one was here. I would argue this wouldn't have been a bad entry there, but even then, Clover just seems to be on one. It's only 6.5% short float, but the 380 level seems like it's going to be in play.
Yeah, man, that Clover, again, shout out to Sharif for pointing this out on the midday. He was like, oh, take a look at Clover. It just continues to bid up. And I was like, oh boy, it does. And yeah, I got a little short there earlier, but yeah, Neil was 100% right. No real trend break for the reversion. I was just being a little cheeky there as it kind of approaches that 3.5 right there. Oh boy, there was a lot of size sitting. I mean, maybe not a lot of size, but there was like a couple thousand lots sitting at 350s. And take a look at that, Neil. All of them taken out. Look at those. I mean, I don't know if they're blocks. I think what's the proper definition of a block? I think it's a notional $200,000 order or something like that, right? I'm pretty sure that's like that. Somewhere around there is a block size order.
But were I didn't. You flashed it. I didn't see if they were all deep. Were they all D prints?
Nope. It's definitely lit gates right there. Look at that. Look at that buddy on Memex getting rebates for 10,000. You see some Edge A's there, some ARKKs there, 42,000 lit gates. And then yeah, some of them D prints because yeah, if you want to take that size out, you're gonna get some D prints. I'm pretty sure.
Dark prints, which are
dark prints,
which are also. I mean, like there's technically there's like block. Yeah. There's like block orders that go off in the dark all the time, right? Like, so some of those will be the ones that are grouped, like you just said. The thing about like those block orders, they don't have to report those in real time. So you don't you could have block orders that get reported after it's already broke the level, and sometimes the overnight ones will come at a certain time. Those can be some of the deep print wicks that you see, but all those occurred right on the line there. Yeah, the 350. It's obviously a big level. The stock is on one.
It just got taken out there. So yeah, no real break of the trend here. And yeah, nice smooth little trend. Look at that, Neil. I can probably be an algo as well. I'm drawing that moving. Call it the moving average, and the equation is OB. No, I'm joking. So nice little extension to the upside. Where will this bid stop? I have no idea, but absolutely crazy. The kind of bid that we got off of the open. You can see the relative volume is also expanding. So a little bit of volume expansion as well, but relative volume expansion as well as we push higher and higher into the close there on Clover Health. Now, again, of about 25% on this name. This name has come down from quite a ways, because if I remember correctly, this was a SPAC by what's his name?
Chamath.
Chamath. This is one of Chamath's tickers here on Clover. I forget what the pre-SPAC price was, but if you take a look left on this ticker, you can see that it's come from quite far away. Let's go to the weekly right there. Oh boy, there it is right there. Take a look at that high of 28. Nice little flush. Talk about a swing short. But again, a little bit of accumulation probably in the lows there, and running off of, I think you said Humana news. I think maybe a little bit of sympathy going on there. I have no idea why it's running. I'm looking for a change in this trend here for it to maybe potentially come back down. But so it's like, the bid is there. And we just saw that crazy size get taken out. I'm waiting.
He's waiting on the trend change.
Yeah.
Adair knows what I'm getting at there. See? He knows what I'm talking about.
Adair Sngx, get it. All right, guys, if you're an Amazon Prime subscriber, get ready for more ads coming in on the wire about an hour ago. That more ads to be expected on Amazon Prime Video, so keep an eye out for that. OpenAI, but we're talking about Nvidia. Why are we talking about OpenAI and Nvidia? Because Nvidia got in as an investor on this latest up round here. Now, they raised $6.6 billion, now valued at $157 billion. This is OpenAI, a privately run company. Some of the investors, Microsoft, Nvidia, but Thrive Capital. But guess who else was investing? ARKK, aka Cathie Wood, to the tune of about $250 million, maybe a bit more, saying at least $250 million, guys.
Okay. You mean, obviously, Cathie was just calling me to see if I wanted a piece of the OpenAI pie. I was like, I don't need it. I don't need any of that. No, obviously, I would be like, yes, please. It's weird today. Nvidia's up 1.5%. Nvidia did a monster move off of 115. It's a pretty clean level. I mean, I think we've been talking about 115 for a while, yet there was no trade-off of that level. And again, I come back to, it was Tesla time this morning. So during Tesla time, there wasn't much room. Sometimes, like Tesla, you really had to be focused on the book to get some of the entry points on it. So it was just one of those types of mornings. But 115 held tried and true. I think we mentioned this. I had it in my note. We mentioned it a few times, but I didn't trade it till it tried to break out of the high. Too muted result. I mean, it's a flat trade because I got some out and then 1-to-1. Like if I get back into this trade, I think what I could have done is look at where I was getting out. What happened? What's going on in the market right now? Okay, so what just happened here? You were just trending up on Nvidia. You can see what I'm getting at with the re-entry there to the high of the day. Would have made a heck of a lot of sense. Tesla's starting to roll over. Intel's bleeding, and Nvidia just made a bit of a right turn. Nothing really in there on Nvidia. The stock that I should be short out of the chips. All right, see my hand. See how I have my hand up?
Yeah. I think it might have been a bit of a market sell there.
No, have you seen this chart?
Oh,
I'm just short.
Oh boy.
Like usually this would be a really good stock today when Intel's weak. But I I bungled this one. I had the early short. We got it at the right time. I had this short, which I think was the right idea for the lower high. Didn't give it to the high of the day. Then when it finally rolled over, as I said, I was kind of in a meeting. We had a meeting in the afternoon, so I genuinely missed this trade, and there's nothing I could have done about it. But I 100% could have been short this underneath VWAP when I sat back down. So this is bleeding. If the market's going to lose 20,000 for good, I'm going to weasel my way into an Intel short and not Nvidia, despite the fact that Nvidia just did that volume candle Don't really know what that was about, but we bounced off 20,000, so it might just be set to either test VWAP or resume the trend up. Good recovery day for Nvidia off the 115 level, as you guys can see here. There's your support. It bounced clean off it. I think as long as it can hold this VWAP here, I'm pretty constructive on this in the afternoon. If you shoot a chip name down, then unless you guys can show me something that's worse than Intel today, I bet you guys can't. Yeah, that's the one to short on Pops, INTC.
Yeah, a bit of a sell coming in across the board here. Just watching, yeah, Nvidia with a little bit of a pullback as well. Futures took a little bit of a dump. Take a look at Apple, man. We talk about that range on Apple. Apple did a bit of a puke there as well. So I'm thinking maybe somebody's selling. Berkshire, is that you? No, I'm joking. A little bit of a market sell back into that 20,000 happening right now, but some of those dips got bought right back up. Tesla flushing as well. Interestingly enough, Microsoft consolidating near its lows as well. But yeah, no, Nvidia, let's speak on that. A bit of a nice reversion happening off of the open. We talk about this market reversion that happened about 100% off of the opening range highs there. Now take a look at this interesting action. Prior day, end of day consolidation highs there at that 118. Coming off the open, you can't really print that 118. Nice little flush, both in the pre-market and right off of the open underneath that level. Revert all the way back up through that. Now you're holding some of those levels, some of that area as support here on Nvidia as we consolidate underneath 119, 119.28 high of day as of right now. The most recent low, 117.76. A bit of an inside kind of action there, sideways action is a better way to call it there. On Nvidia since about the midday session, since about 11, you can see that attempted to break the highs, pulls back into the range, and just going sideways since then. So I don't know too much about this one. I think there were moves maybe in the pre-market, but off of the open for sure, and then maybe a little bit of a reversion down here. But again, you can see that it's been holding well above VWAP for majority of the day once it reclaimed in the morning session right at 10 o'clock. So Nvidia, bit of a sideways action, but I think, like you said, there are better chips with the dip for today.
Oh, I like it. Better chips with a dip. And you know what? After that little bit of a move, Obi, like we're right back. Like the SPY just went green again. So there was this little liquidity grab under VWAP on the SPY. And the NASDAQ bounced 20,000, but you're holding on to VWAP. This move, if we can hold VWAP, it's Apple that I'm going to like. But we'll get to that after we come back from Madeira.
Everything that happened during that midday session in case some traders were at their desk from that period from 11 to 2. In terms of news or economic updates, it was pretty muted, though. It's worth noting we had comments from Fed's Barkin initially scheduled at 11:30, ended up coming through at 12:15. Amongst other things, Fed Barkin noted that the Fed cut cut rates by 50 basis points in September because the rates were, quote, out of sync with what we were seeing with disinflation. So more or less kind of confirming the idea that the Fed was trying to catch up with regards to inflation. So interesting notes there from Fed's Barkin in terms of comments. The other big story that we really had going on during the midday was the update to that new OpenAI round. Their valuation now here at $157 billion, raising $6.6 billion through that round. There is talks, well, that Cathie Wood's ARK investing, quote, at least $250 million. Microsoft, Nvidia, all involved here as well. Also, the information reporting that the OpenAI CFO saying that the employees can now sell some of their shares here after that $6.6 billion funding round. In terms of other stocks on watch, a lot of these small cap runners, we had Clover Health, CLOV, with about a 6.5% short float. Another short float name, repeat runner here, WHLR, cooling off a bit. This one started running a little bit before the midday. It does have here a float of roughly 620,000 shares with a short float of 25%, guys.
Thank you very much, Adara. And that puts OpenAI's valuation smack dab in the middle between like a Micron and a Qualcomm. Not bad at all. Not bad at all, Mr. Altman. You're doing just fine. So I promised I would make an observation here, and hopefully we can find a trade in Apple. I know Sharif was talking about some bamboozlement in Apple to the long side, but for me, it was actually in the other direction. If you looked at Apple most of the afternoon, like look at this. It's not Sagent holding the same level. Oh, this is Sagent. For anyone that wasn't here, like right at the beginning of the show, this is SGMT holding the exact same line in a consolidation, then finally breaking. I'm on the offer next at 54, so if it breaks this high, I'm going to get one more out, and then we'll see how far it can go. But it's a similar thing that happened on Apple. The difference is, see this candle? That was it breaking trend. Now, I admittedly, if you're taking this short, I probably need that short somewhere in here in the 226, like 65, 70 range. I ended up short underneath 50, which was a bad entry. So I kind of used a really, really tight stop with it and then let it set back up at the price that I kind of like better. The net result, it is what it is. Like I was going to lose anyways because it ended up bouncing, but that was just not a good entry. This was, to me, a better chance it would hold trend down. It broke out the high. I'm out. Now the liquidity grab that just happened on the futures and pretty much everything, I think this can resume the trend to the upside. Clearly, there's somebody holding right around 227. Yep. So I think trades at 227 might not be the best. I think you need to try to, if you're looking longs, I think you need some dip buys, or it just needs to clear out. Like right now, if you clear the top, you're clearing through 27.20, so the quarters could be a nice breakout long, or you're looking for a long underneath that you can play into the high, because there's some gamesmanship happening at the $27 level. But if we're going to have strength, I'm going to like that one to the upside. Naeem has rightfully pointed out, someone asked me why am I in Sagent. Hopefully that chart explains it. And if it doesn't, not often that you can take a breakout trade. There's 340 resistance, get 41, risk 1 or 2 cents to get that kind of a move. It's just a weird barcode. And if you can get it, you can get, like there was size at 42, so you could just get 41s or 41.2 blend, and then it broke higher. So that's the reason for being in it. Joby Aviation, they had a, dude, now I'm already forgetting the story. It was Toyota investment. That's what it was.
500 million.
Thanks, Obi. And now it's breaking the highs as well. So this was a continuation play from earlier. I don't really have any great levels to point out on the daily chart. I think once you pass 6, you cross the last big one, 640 and then 680. Sort of obvious areas to point at here in the daily. And now that it's made the break and consolidating higher, you've got prior highs as your support at 615 on this consolidation point. So a good look here for Joby, up 31%.
Yeah, I think it's crazy. Definitely to the upside on Joby there. I'm kind of just waiting for the next trade. What's the next trade? I have no idea. I'm waiting for Clover to start to break down. I'm looking for other things here as well. So let me know in the chat what you guys are trading. I know XOM was on watch. Again, some of the in-play tickers I have 8 tickers in play for me today, and I guess it was Nike, it was UNFI, it was CAG, Conagra Brands. They had a nice little move off of the open. Amazon, LX was one of them, bit of a smaller cap name as well. RTX, XOM, and Humana. And I only kind of participated in a little bit. Of course, Tesla as well. Tesla off the deliveries. I didn't have it on this list because I have it on one of the main screens. But yeah, no, other than that, I don't really see too much. XOM maybe potentially looking like a reversion because it's been selling off all day. Finally catching a little bit of a bid here, a bid that is, I wouldn't say distinctly different from the rest of the day, but you can see it had a strong bid off of the open, had a strong bid around 11, and then now it's getting a strong bid once again. And never could get to VWAP, making lower highs as we trend lower here on XOM. I'm sure oil is looking very similar. Here we can check the crude oil futures right here. So yeah, a little bit of a sell-off there. On the day, sideways consolidation on top of 70 as of right now here. All right, Beanie saying, oh, you know what? We got a super chat here by David. Thoughts on CZR? They're a great quote. Best dip is French onion or nacho cheese. Okay. I don't know. Nacho.
There's a lot to unpack there.
Yeah. Yeah.
Best dip to me is just, I'm a guacamole guy, so okay. That's where I would roll. No, actually, no, the best dip is a dip into a great support level that you can get long, like 115 was today.
I like that.
On Nvidia. That's the best dip, but after that, I really love guacamole. Yeah. Not sure that's what you guys are into. I think Caesars looks great on the daily chart. I don't know why it just pulled back as heavily as it did. But on the daily, Caesars was in the midst of a very good breakout here. You guys can see that about 42.40. I was just pointing, the SPY's making this bounce off of VWAP, so I'm going to look to get into that Apple trade. But where are you? Caesars. Right, so it was a huge breakout on the daily, but look at it since the high. Typically, stocks like this, there's nothing crazy going on volume-wise. You'll maintain and you'll bounce off VWAP. It's just up 5%, and there was no defend at VWAP, which was that's a key level. It was resistance in the morning, support in the late morning, and then absolutely nothing when the same level coincides with VWAP. Had I been trading the stock today, I would have lost money going long there for sure. So I'm not really sure why it's not holding up as much as I would expect it to. Not a single green candle since it made that high at 44. It probably needs to level off. I guess like 42.75 in here might be a level on Caesars, but I don't know why it's so weak all of a sudden.
Yeah, nice little reversion happening there. Strong selling to the downside. How much volume is this thing doing on the day? 5.61 million. So yeah, definitely doing a little bit of relative volume as well. I have here roughly on average relative volume happening here on Caesars. No idea what the catalyst may be here, but let's see. Turn to 500 million share buyback program. So they launched a buyback program. Okay, cool, nice. So buyback on Caesars Entertainment here. The best dip, I think the best dip is when I dip, you dip, just like that. So I think that's my favorite dip there. And yeah, no, I like Neil's dip as well. Dip into support, I like that. I like the dips that do a little bit of a lick grab as well. Maybe there's a little bit of a level there at supports. Oh boy, I got stopped out of that Tesla. That's fine. Where's the next trade? I guess it's ticking up. So I wanted to stay short here on Tesla. I did a bit of degeneracy here. Had a nice trade in the morning there. Sure, the initial entry might be a little hasty there, but that 250. We talk about kind of reviewing. If I am to review some of my precise entries on the day, this is definitely it. And then this one here. Everything else I have to work on getting rid of. That's the entry I like, risking up to the 250, 251s, 250.70s highs. There, I think it was 250.88 highs there. So risking about just under a point for the flush back in. So that's the precise entry that I like. And then coming into the midday, you get a lick grab of that prior high there. So all of this, I got to get rid of that because I'm giving back pretty much the rest of my day, sizing in significantly more than I did initially there and kind of giving that back only to get right back in as it comes back into 247s here, add more onto here, stop out, get back in, stop out, get back in. So they're getting a little chopped up there unnecessarily here on Tesla. I got to do better with just, taking the money and walking away when I have a good trade on board. And again, we talk about reversions. I was like, yeah, I have strong reasons to buy here because that's where I probably would buy for a reversion trade. A bit of a significant level there at that 241 halves as well in my books. And then you get a nice full-on reversion all the way from 241 to 251. Oh boy. And that reversion comes in quite nicely as kind of you make higher highs, higher lows through VWAP. Look at that consolidation underneath VWAP that breaks out and you get that trend off of a consolidation break. That's obviously beautiful. That's always beautiful to see that kind of action there. I'm seeing it more and more. I've been seeing it a little more and more. Consolidation break trend, right? So that happened here on Tesla, but the lick grab of day highs and then pull back into that VWAP was quite nice. See where Tesla ends up going into the end of the day here. Clover still kind of holding trend, nothing too crazy. The book had a bit of size there at 3.5s, but again, it's a $3 ticker. A couple thousand lots is absolutely nothing. What's going on?
Is that the 9 EMA?
This is, I think this is an 8. The light blue line.
Yeah, 9 minute.
Let me just check real quick. Indicators. That is a hold on, exponential 9.
It's a 9. Okay.
It's a 9. 9 EMA there. So I personally it doesn't really matter. 9 and 8 not going to have a big difference, but I like to use 8s on my other charts here. And 250 coming back in here, Neil, on Tesla. So yeah, it's holding an EMA, basically showing you that it's a good indicator for showing you a trend there, and it's holding that level as well. So gonna keep an eye on that. Maybe we don't even break trend today, right? There's a lot of other things that have broken trends multiple times over.
Oh, it'll
and over
break
again.
trend. It's Clover.
Yeah,
I don't know when it's going to break trend.
Exactly. We have to be ready for that.
Clover.
So it's like,
come on.
Do we put on a 21 and have an order just sitting at the 21, being like, if it gets down to here and breaks below, I want to get short, risking back up to the high? I don't know. It's just an idea.
Speaking of risking back to the high, I will not be risking on it. I just got into Intel, but I'm not risking that back up to the high of the day because Intel getting to the high of the day will require a minor miracle. But Sagent Pharmaceuticals, remember that barcode kind of free roll kind of trade breaking the 40 level? Well, I got some out. Look, we scalped out in front of 50 and then got some of 50, then 54s. Yeah, a bit of a trend line forming in here to the upside. So we're trending up, breaks trend. I'm going to get out. If you're wondering why just offer out in front of 380 kind of randomly, if you pull back, I can show you a 3-minute chart if it shows yesterday. I guess I could do the same thing here. I'll just zoom it out like this so you can see why. This is essentially, so pre-market highs on Sagent was 393 or something. Then right off of the open, the actual resistance was at 380 or so. So I feel like if it makes a press through, try to hold it to 380. And then if it gets past like 70, just continue to trail it. If the trend line holds, then we'll just keep using the trend line as the out. So that's the play there. I'm into it, finally back into Intel, but this is off the morning lows, which is right at 2250. So I'm short 46 with a stop just above the 50 level, looking for it to break down into yesterday's actual low of the day. So 2225 is kind of the target. Like get some out if it gets into the, like at 40, so the first 5 cents, we're risking 5 cents. And then if it breaks the low, get out into 2225. Isra just said, thoughts on Rivian? Rivian was a weird one, at least a little bit. Because, yeah, a little more strength in Rivian than I was expecting. I think we were expecting a $10 breakdown at some point, and that the delivery numbers on Tesla maybe could have gotten us to that break. Instead, Rivian had one of its up days. But it's still a downward trend since the flat bottom break. The last time it had an up day, see this day? What did you want to do the next day? It pulled back, there's the close, and there is your resistance the following day. So my first plan of action is if it does a dip like this with a significant pullback, maybe into the 1060 or the 1050, is I know that I'm going to like that area for an over-under, like short opportunity at the open. That said, it's going up today, so you know, I guess you probably try to participate. There's not a single red candle in here. Obi just mentioned Tesla was going back through 250. So it looks like there's some strength coming in here. It's trying to go. The market's not doing anything. I feel like you might have a bit of a trend. I just want to be, if it pulls back, I just want to short it tomorrow. That's going to be the plan of action. If it never pulls back, then I have to adjust that plan. Until then, it's one of those, I look for short entries until I can't find any. David Clark saying Micron long. Kind of looking at AMD, to be honest with you. AMD's a funky one here today. I know we're going to talk about Micron in just a second, but AMD's kind of funky in this level that if we're going to break out, looks really interesting if it can break out those levels. But you know what? This segment and this portion of the show brought to you by Trade the Pool. And Trade the Pool allows traders like yourselves to be evaluated and trade real shares using the company's capital. No PDT rule holding you back. That's how they give a true trading edge. Has just launched a limited edition program to evaluate stock traders like you. For a one-time fee of just $97, you'll receive $20,000 in buying power. And all you've got to do is reach the profit goal. The best part of this limited edition program is that they have reduced the profit goal and the minimum trades required to reach the funded phase. And the profit split has been upgraded. So keep 70% of the profits. You definitely want to check it out. Scan the QR code or click the link in the description of this video for more information. Shout out to Trade the Pool for sponsoring that segment. We're 10 minutes to power hour, Obi. And so, okay, I'm going to get to Micron, I promise that. But this weird whatever is going on in AMD, you can call it barcoding, same low, just underneath 160, 159.85. Kind of same high, 160.5. I don't know why I'm favoring a breakout. Well, it doesn't even make sense why I'm favoring a breakout long on that. Like, it's trending down. It kind of looks more like Intel than anything else. I feel like I'm talking myself into a bad idea there. Micron, I'm not sure, like these chip names that are not Nvidia, they're not looking all that great. Micron was the short off of VWAP. There's no question about it. Well, maybe Intel was as well. The other thing to consider for Micron is the flat bottom break at 99, which I think is what the question was more about. Like, you lose that, you lose it all, which it all really just means to 95 in terms of a gap fill. Since they reported, it's weird because if you've had a few good days in a row, you're not mad, but what are we even doing? You could just short this almost every single day. There's an easy short setup. The first day, no. Second day, obviously. Third day tries to break through support, immediately fails. The next day, previous close, fail break, short. I think today was the only time it was challenging at all. But then if you looked at it, once it did confirm the rollover, I go back to the 3-minute and it's just, okay, now that you know it's trending back in, it's just a VWAP short right here. That's probably as easy as it gets, right? Like that's an easy VWAP short. And that was right at 2 o'clock as we were coming back on air. So that was definitely a trade you could have. I think the chip names that are not named Nvidia are certainly not having the best moment. Is that a nice way of putting it? Intel you could have had off of VWAP as well. So it's Nvidia that's holding up the best. Oh, Sagent just went. SGMT. So we're going to trail out of that one. I knew this would happen. Eventually you got to ring the register. This is about that's as gimmicky a trade as you're ever going to find. You're not often going to see a level get held like that by a single gateway. I'm not even sure. I think it was probably an iceberg order, but it was also just a gateway that nobody, I don't mean to offend anybody, that was lightly used. So maybe that's why part of it not breaking was that. But the second it broke, it was clean. You could get liquidity right away. You could have even bought a dip, like after we were in it. You could buy a dip right into the exact same level. Very, very clean. I'm trailed out of it now that it's lost that trend line. Thank you very much, David, for the super chat. Can you fix the bull doll inverted horn on the desk?
I mean, like
that? It's not inverted.
It's not inverted.
It's a stuffed animal. It's been a tough run for the Bulls. It hasn't been as clean as it used to be. So, he's not feeling as happy as he always was. And I'm just making stuff up. Intel's breaking everybody's hearts, David. I'm ordering some Loco with extra guacamole. That's what I'm talking about, so shout out to you. I don't know if you're doing that because I said guac is the best, but you're probably just doing it because it's freaking delicious, right? Like, there's nothing wrong with that. So it's delicious. Everybody loves guacamole, included David. Thank you for the super chat. We appreciate you. We appreciate everybody. And Obi's doing his best to fix the bull, the googly-eyed bull. What's crazy about it is they're very obviously not even like the same pair. It's just it's a random bull and it's a random
bear. Yeah.
It's not Choco.
Distinctly different, both ways.
There was a former manager on the trading floor, and she was a trader as well. I won't get into names, but had this stuffed animal called Choco that was like her trading pet, kind of like how we have this, and. So there was one trader who would just absolutely torment her by stealing Choco and then doing ridiculous things to this bear. Like, and the funny thing was, like, each gag would get worse and worse up until this bear got, he wet the bear and then threw it into the freezer.
Yeah?
That was like the last straw.
Oh, man.
That was good. I won't name any names, but we used to have some kind of stupid fun on the floor. Very immature when everybody was. I mean, obviously I'm older now, but it's a young man's game, young person's game now. But yeah, I just reminded me of Choco the bear. I wonder whatever happened to it. Probably ended up in the dumpster somewhere after that incident. So I'm only in one stock. It's just Intel. I don't know if you're looking to get. Okay, you're in Tesla off that 250. I was kind of wondering.
Yeah, I'm just.
Is it not a rejection 250 short? Okay, but
yeah, that's what I was thinking as well. But I'm like, we're going into the end of the day. We've been trending, not aggressively, but we've been trending steadily up towards that 250. And sure, that 250 has made a lower high there. Again, I'm just trying to cheeky little try here. Let's see what happens as this price action kind of holds a trend to the upside there. So that's all I'm kind of going for. I do have to get better with going with the trend as well. So I guess in attempt to be like, all right, I might feel a little uncomfortable getting long at this area here, but it's trending, and I want to get involved with the trend. Fair. So giving it a little bit of a tight risk and kind of seeing how well that kind of works. If that 250 goes, that 251 is the next prior high, and that 251, oh boy, again, we did pull back, but the thing is we consolidated above VWAP quite nicely. I tried the short to take it through VWAP into 247, doesn't really come in. Then we slowly trickle back up to 250, and the initial retest here when we come back to 250, yeah, sure, we're taking a little bit of a pullback, but well within trend as well. Oh boy, I got that Caesar still up, and from earlier, that thing is still selling off of the reversion. Talk about a beautiful reversion right here as it cracks, breaks, even a little bit of a gap down there.
Check the news.
A bit of a gap there in price. Interesting enough. I wasn't there for it, so I don't know what really happened here. On the chart, you can see a bit of a gap there happening. So maybe last price printed at what is this? The close was 43.56, and the next candle literally opens up at 43.50. So about I guess 6 pennies lower there on Caesar, and then you start to get a nice little sell-off off of the break of trend. So maybe some punching into the bid there.
That's a refreshing looking downtrend.
Yeah, it is. It's quite nice. I don't even know if it's done yet. It's just steady to the downside. Look, it reminds me kind of Clover, but going the other way on Caesars there. So thank you. I think it was David in the chat pointing out Caesars there. So thank you for that one there.
That
David.
chart needs the hair of the dog.
The hair of the.
Marine doesn't know what that means. You don't know what that means?
I have no idea. Is it like some sort of like, because like Caesar's Palace, right?
Am I the only one
That's
that
like
gets
Caesar's from
Okay.
like Las Vegas, right?
I need you guys to back me up on this one. You guys all know what the hair of the dog means, or everybody knows what.
I feel like I've
somebody
heard
back
the
me up
saying.
that I'm not the only person. Patty Ice isn't sitting down in his seat, so he's not even hearing any of this. I know he would get it, but yeah, Caesar. I don't want to explain it. There we go. Hair of the dog that bites you. Yes, okay, you guys know what I'm talking about. A Caesar is a common. So hair of the dog is essentially you have a fun night.
Yeah.
And sometimes in the morning you get a little hungover. You get a little pick me up.
Oh,
the hair of the dog.
yeah.
A Caesar is a popular choice for that. As a matter of fact,
Yes,
the
that is very
alumni softball tournament that I used to play in for the University of Laurier, of which I was not an alumni, Sean was. But I went to the school that was down the street at Waterloo. We went to school in the same city, by the way, Sean and I. They had this alumni softball tournament. I played baseball, so I was like a ringer, and everyone just thought I played because I would hang out with Laurier people when I was at school.
Right.
So after the fact, I knew everybody that was playing, and so I was their ringer on the team. And the entire team, like it was a big kegger the night before the tournament, and nobody takes the tournament seriously except for like our team and another one. And the next morning, everybody in the team was having Caesars at it was Eastside Mario's.
Hey,
Like that was like everybody. Like, as many Caesars as
Didn't
you
they
could.
close those guys down? I think
East Sides?
Eastside Mario's or
I think there's still.
yeah, I think
Maybe.
there was one in Markham. They definitely they closed it down. I remember. Quite sad. Again, growing up, we went there quite a few times. But yeah, good place. Good place.
What's moving right now? Are you seeing what I'm seeing?
I'm seeing what you're seeing, but I don't know if I see what you see.
Apple
You know what I
20
mean.
cent range for the last hour. Or, okay, 30 minutes. I'm being a little dramatic. 20 cent range for the last 30 minutes, doing absolutely nothing.
Humana continuing to go up.
Yeah, that Humana's actually
Oh,
trending to
Nike
the
finally.
upside.
Is that a breakdown on Nike? Hello.
Oh, now Nike breaks again? Okay,
boy.
Nike is
I
breaking.
spent like
See,
one
now
risk unit on
this might
this
be something here.
earlier.
I'm short Nike twice, one loss, one win. Yeah, I like this underneath
Neil,
VWAP.
look at this, man.
Go-
Literally,
You got the
like,
chart? Go ahead.
Gotta try something at least 3 times, right? It's gotta hit your 3-strike rule. I get short once, stop out. Get short twice, stop out, and then the backside comes in. I don't even try it for the 3rd time there on Nike. So, oh boy, that one definitely coming right back into VWAP after the last time I tried it there. So I had to get involved once again. But yeah, take a look at the break in trend happens where 84.20s. I did like this area for the short earlier, but being on the wrong side of the V doesn't really, again, wrong on the trade until that right side definitely comes in. And take a look at this. It kind of pops up into those 84.20s, can't really make it. Consolidates, pops up into 84.20s, can't really make it. And then we've gone sideways, we've attempted to go up, and then now we just go down into VWAP right there, getting a bit of a crack of VWAP as of right now, trading down to 83s on Nike. So interesting action there. Maybe that's reversion
like it
we
under
were
VWAP.
looking for. Yeah, it's not bad here under VWAP. You're talking about the bid? What do you?
No,
how are you looking?
Look,
at
I'm
that?
looking at the other way, and so
Okay.
obviously
This is what I mean. I see what you see, but maybe I don't see what you're seeing.
that's fair. I mean, sometimes off levels like this, you can trade in either direction, and then you can get a move off either direction. I too was in it, and I'm pretty sure I posted this update on the nonsensical. draw a trend line, set a rule that it needs to close underneath the trend line, then proceed to punch short when it doesn't close underneath the trend line. That's exactly what I did. I said exactly what I would do, and then still took the early entry when it didn't close underneath the trend line. So that was me doing a stupid trade, and this was it actually closing. Like this candle closes right here under the trend line. That was the short. I didn't hold it to VWAP. That was a mistake, but I'm going to rectify it if we can here. Consolidation under VWAP, which was also trend support right here. 83.15, 83.15. I'm going to try and get short in the teens, give it up just above VWAP, and see if we can look for this one to go. Like this, I looked at what was going on with Caesars. Whoops. Goodness. Why is Caesars a NASDAQ stock? It just feels like that should be on the NYSE for some reason.
Yeah.
No, like this got to VWAP and then just started
money,
continued to trend down. But I see a similar possibility with Nike here. So Caesars kind of made that move, gave you a secondary push. If I can get in here underneath VWAP, I want to sneak in, see if it can't trend. Even if it's just halfway down to 82.5, that would mean it's moving, which the market is absolutely not. Remember we're talking about the SPY in here? Since that liquidity grab hold of VWAP, look at the SPY, 25-cent range. 568.75 to 569. That's what I mean by nothing happening. Got to find something that's going. That's why I'm in Intel off the low, because it made a big move. So consolidation lower, maybe it can make another big move. And so similarly with Nike, going to look for that short underneath VWAP. So if the market doesn't go, I want to short a couple of things which have been breaking down, which makes sense because they're trying to trend down. And I know you're in Tesla, which has been trending up. Yep. That's worth a look. Paul in the chat saying Affirm is moving. Oh yeah, Affirm's under $40 now. But it's moving back to the upside.
Okay.
Affirm caught a bid.
Caesar reversion of the reversion?
Good for you, Affirm.
Maybe? Oh yeah, Affirm did catch a bid just now, I guess. Is that news on it? A bit of expanding volume coming into that move. Maybe
I have Benzing up, I've heard nothing.
Yeah, maybe it's just a technical through 39.20, that range high from the morning midday session here on Affirm. But yeah, no, I'm looking for the next trade, guys, and I don't really see too much going on there. We only have about, 58 minutes here left until the close. So you know what we're going to do? We're going to go through some of the volume gainers on the day just to take a quick pulse and see what some of the best, I guess, some of the most traded names on the day, what they're up to. Now, Nvidia, sure, we've taken a look at this. We established that it's going sideways off of the midday. NEO was nice off of the open. Again, I think when we talk about China, tickers, FXI kind of sold off of the open as well. Nothing too crazy. You can take a look at EN as well, which is a 3X bull ETF there. A bit of a sell-off. Nice little gradual trend after that gap up happening overnight there once again here on Chinese large caps, I guess. Again, FXI is the large cap ETF there. So Tesla, the third one. We've been trading Tesla again with the deliveries on the day. Nice little flush off of the open. I think that was the main trade. Maybe a little reversion there. And then a reversion of the reversion off of the opening range high lick grab as well. Quite nice, giving you about what is that? 1, 2, 3 trades on the day that stand out for me specifically in terms of playbook. But let's go on to the next one. API Agora Inc. What is the market cap on this one? So market cap is about 250 mil, up a decent amount on the day. Here in the pre-market, no idea what the news is, but nice little fade off of the open. Talk about a reversion, Neil. That reversion started in the pre-market off a break of the trend there on AGI. We've pretty much come to a stall, trading sideways now. Duo, we know this one has been a little bit spicy over the past couple of days there. Again, kind of just chopping and churning. Nice little run up on Monday. A bit of a squeeze action happening there. And then we've been holding some of those levels going forward for the rest of the week, today being Wednesday as well. TIGR, I know people in the chat were asking us to take a look at this ticker. Literally said, like Winnie the Pooh. Yes. So yeah, TIGR.
Hey, you could have said something worse.
I'm just reading out the ticker there.
That's my bad.
Yeah, so A little bit of sideways consolidation here. Not really doing too much, but nice chop here on TIGR.
It's bouncing nicely.
It's bouncing, yeah.
There you go. That's more wholesome.
Joby to the upside again. Catalyst on the day. 500 million investment from Toyota themselves for this aviation company here. So it could be interesting as they fly to the upside. On the day, we talked about this nice little action in the pre-market. We got a nice reversion as well, about over 50%, all the way down to 5. Can't really get to 5, and then pushes to the upside right there on Joby. Now, ABEV, nothing to see there. BEKE, another Chinese ticker there that's been moving over the past couple of days, maybe over the past couple since last week as well. Along with the whole sector, strong bid yesterday, gap up today, and again, similar story here with the sell-off off of the open on a lot of these Chinese tickers here. JD.com, take a look at that. That's a beautiful example as well, selling off right off of the open. So the whole sector, again, regardless of what you picked, here's BABA again, another one of those ETFs. Regardless of what you picked, a lot of these tickers kind of gradually sold off of the open, now going a little bit sideways. IQ similar as well. Intel, oh boy, Neil was talking about this one. Talk about a held offer here on Intel, looking kind of like that, what was that, SGMT or whatever? Sagent that you were trading earlier, but not as clean. But again, Intel might be a little more competitive than other names, but a bit of a held offer showing up here.
Not that competitive.
It's not that competitive, yes, no. But relative to some other tickers, maybe potentially.
Well, I mean, it competes with the Moans of the world these days.
Yeah.
It's just for ugly-looking charts.
Nothing else too crazy I'm seeing. TOP, Ford, PDD. PDD actually didn't sell off as strongly as some of those other names, other China names. Bit of a sideways consolidation here, holding that opening range, Neil, so looking distinctly like different. One. Yeah. PDD could be interesting going forward. Billy, again, a lot of the Chinese tickers on this volume leader list, again, those names are in play. Palantir to the upside. I see I see that. Ramin with the bouncing right there. Nice. Okay, so what's next? Plug Power, nothing too crazy. LX, oh boy, I did have this one on watch, and I was looking for a potential capitulation. You can see how it's been acting over the past few days. Look at the hourly here. Nice little squeeze, a little push, and in the pre-market, you get a nice exhaustion candle right in the pre-market, and look at that, right off of the open, you get a nice little flush, maybe underneath that 420 heyo off of the open there on LX. So missed out on that one, but maybe potential for backside move going forward on LX. It has been running up on relative volume, and I think this is one of those tickers that, again, when it's done, all of pretty much the volume leaders that I have here on the American exchanges, and we've gone through all of them. So I don't really see anything too crazy there. A lot of the good stuff kind of happened in the pre-market off of the open, maybe some of it in the midday session, but in the last about 52 minutes here right now of power hour, I don't really see too much going on. Let me know in the chat. Let us know in the chat what you guys are seeing, so we want to get involved.
I've seen a little bit like people talking about Nikola, KMI. Yeah. I'll get to those in a quick second. First, I did get into Nike, that little consolidation underneath VWAP. It popped. So it tried to pop up above 83, stalled at 83.13, came back underneath. It filled 1-to-1 at 86, and then right back to the same level. So I'm in here at 83.03, as you can see. But yeah, I'm going to give it the tight stop. That was a quick little reversion. Like, it was breaking down, then a kind of an immediate move back up. You see the NASDAQ, while not doing a ton, is still gliding higher. So I want to have a little bit of a quick trigger to be able to jump out of this if we break up. Nike, it's down 7%, but while being down 7%, it made a very defined bottom and is trying to pull a comeback after the earnings miss, the delay of Investor Day and all that good stuff. Intel, I'm going to have to zoom back in. I already tell you I'm going to have to zoom back in. Not. So we got short 46, 47. It tried to tag the 40 bottom, does not quite get there. Came back up to 50. Reloading in front of 50. But if this breaks the consolidation top, I'm going to get out. You can't hold this all the way to VWAP. That's nonsensical. Like, you got a bottom consolidation. I'll play that range. I'll work it for a downside trade, but that's not going to work, and we're just going to jump out of it. Kind of like Nike, right? Like, you can do whatever you want. It's just I'm going to have, as I said, a tight stop. We'll go for the breakdown, something that was trending down, but the second it breaks contain, for all you football fans out there, then we're going to get out of Dodge. Try to keep it tight to the vest, head it, just continue to work right away, then I can hold it with that 15-cent risk for the greater part of a 40, 50-cent move. But tight stop here on Nike. We can look for a re-entry point somewhere later. Oliver's saying NVAX is going. I'm looking around for things that
Have
might
you looked
be
at Dell today?
making real moves. We were asked. We actually, I did look at Dell today, and
That's a reversion.
it was a heck of a reversion.
Wow.
Novavax is up 22% today, and it's yet another steady upward trend. So steady upward trend, a break, and then it goes steady. This does feel like, where is it on the daily's not helping me out there. The 15 minutes not helping me out. Let's just do this in real time, everybody. You see that? I wanted to type Novavax. I typed NV. Before I could even think about it, I put DA. That is insane.
Muscle
like that.
memory.
Just to give you an idea, like muscle memory is one of the most crazy things out there. I was thinking Novavax. I was saying Novavax. I typed NV and I still went DA no matter what. So Novavax on the daily, you're talking $16. $16, maybe a little bit higher. That's your resistance spot here on Novavax. Yeah, I like that. It's got some room to be able to get there. Oops, I didn't mean to do that. Go up here. So big move in Novavax. It's already gone 12 to 14, 14 to 15, 16's resistance. It's got a little bit of room to go. I'm not going to pay for any locates on this. That doesn't feel like the right move at all. But yeah, great day for Novavax. It feels like a reversion might be coming in there at the 15 level. It's not a chase for me in terms of trying to find that long. And certainly the mean reversion trade has had mixed results on any of these runners today. Like just look at Clover. You got to really pick your spots. I'd rather pick on a weak stock than trying to find the top here on Novavax. But good luck to you if you're trying to get the bounce on NVAX.
What a slip.
What happened?
I think I got a 10 penny slip there on Tesla. Stop was at 05s, I think, and I got filled to 95s on that. Nice. Okay. Good thing I wasn't trying it with any significant size. Okay, next trade. I mean, yeah, it wasn't
not that bad.
not really. Yeah, I guess, but it's starting to maybe break trend now. So that short off 250 definitely coming in as of right now. People in the chat talking about Nvidia high a day break. Oh boy, yeah, that Nvidia is pushing. Excuse me, as of right now, a high a day in 119.28.
What?
Right there, trading at 119. So only about 30 pennies away from that high a day is Nvidia. Then again. I don't really see too much of a trade on this. The Piper asking NVAX back to $300. Ha. Okay. I don't know. Maybe we probably need another sort of pandemic sort of situation where it's like they are the sole proprietors of a potential vaccine or some sort of remedy to something that's happening very globally.
It's kind of
maybe
like,
not sole proprietor, but one of the few, right?
Yeah.
It's like the right place at the right time.
Novavax 300 would be like, okay, well, would we all buy Nvidia if it was at $5? Yes, but if Nvidia goes to $5, we've got other problems.
Yeah.
If Novavax goes to $300, we've got other problems. Like, of course, like, come on, like, what are we talking about here? Like, there's so many of these, but let's talk about KMI here because this might be one that has a chance to break a top that's at least a defined top. It's trending into the highs. The volume's maybe not the best, but it's blue sky setup on the daily, meaning you're at fresh high, 52-week highs, maybe even all-time highs on Kinder Morgan. Are we all-time highs on Kinder Morgan? We might be. I think this might be all-time. It might be. Either way, it's 52-week highs, and you're a double top that has a chance to break. So this is worth keeping a watch on. Just want to find something that's worth a trade. It looks like Intel might not hang on. It's basically threatening to break out the stop. It just hasn't happened yet. Tesla, yeah, that might have been a 250 setup.
Yep.
All right, if Tesla's rolling over, I'm thinking, okay, you're head and shoulders a bit here on Rivian. I might take a shot at this off the lower high. I'm always looking for a spot on Rivian. Keep in mind, if the pullback is in the range now that if it were to close here, I like this level for short tomorrow. But this consolidation short's starting to set up here. The market's not rolling over, but if one EV name is going and that's starting to pull back, oh, there goes Intel. At 47s, just stopped out 52, so 5 cents risk on Intel again. This time it breaks higher. Yeah, but if Tesla's going to go, I am having a look here at this Rivian. See if we can't grab that to the south side. Looking like it's at least going. Nvidia can't break the high. Apple can't break the high. There's not much which is outside of the pocket here to be forcing any trades. And after seeing Tesla go, I don't know. I just sort of feel like Rivian could also follow. Yeah, there's not much of a case for this to hold 2% outside of a relief rally, and it's underneath the morning high.
Yeah, I'm just trying to get involved here on the Tesla. It is kind of compressing there. Cheeky little tries here, just kind of feeling it out. That was an aggressive kind of push-pull in, I guess push-pull, price action. Pull into the lows there. I like to, do you ever use Bollingers sometimes? Or was there a time you ever used Bollingers? I feel like I never talked to you about this before.
I've personally, I've never used Bollinger. Actually, that's not true. When I was trading penny stocks, like early on in my trading career, I would try a lot of different things. I did try out Bollinger Bands. I tried out Fibonacci's and never really never got any traction with them. However, I can tell you this, that when Sean and I had our own trading floor, there was a very specific strategy that we used to great success in Europe. So specifically in the European markets, and it used exclusively Bollinger Bands. And we were like, we had the whole floor was trading like Bollinger Band strategies on Europe. We never really use it anywhere else. But that could have something to do with like less sophisticated algos. So maybe some really simplistic technical things worked in markets that were less sophisticated is not the right way to say it. Less predatory algorithms back in the day in Europe. Yeah. That's the better way to say it. I shouldn't say less sophisticated. That's the wrong thing to say. And so little simple technical strategies would work. Had it not been like the 15 years ago, we probably would have had an algo doing it. Instead, we just had a bunch of people on their hands taking 10, 15, 20 stocks at a time, which was very tedious. But it worked.
When it comes to Euro tickers, bands that make them dance.
Yes, sure, why not?
Okay. I just wanted to use that. No, okay, that's pretty cool. I don't know. I'm like, I use them sometimes. I like to see kind of like when the bands kind of compress and they expand every now and then. But again, very situational when I do have them up there. But something just that I'm trying out. I was curious to know what your experience with them might have been. Ian Rispetto with the super chat here, bought some LRCX yesterday on a pullback at 788. They have a stock split effective tomorrow, 10-1. What's your take on LRCX and forward potential long?
Lamb.
Now, I have no idea what this ticker is.
You don't know Lamb? Oh, that's
LRCX. So here's the thing. I know the ticker, but I have no idea what they do.
Oh, they make the stuff that makes the chips. So like AMAT, right? So like AMAT or ASML, Lam Research is basically along those lines. Like I think those are like the big three.
Kind of like an ARM.
But no, ARM's a little different because ARM's like the technology inside of the chip, and then they license it out. Whereas these guys make the machines that actually, so like they'll sell to like the fabs.
Okay, that's fair.
So
that's fair.
Yeah, I don't know which machines they have. ASML does like the lithography one, which all the advanced chips need them, so they'll basically have monopoly on that.
Yep.
And then Lam is they're a good company, man.
Okay.
But the daily chart
10-1 tomorrow. I mean, let's take a quick look at this chart here
spicy, actually.
On LRCX. So take that VWAP off. This is a 3-hour chart. So let's see. We've been kind of downtrending again. Chip sector is a little bit down. If you kind of look back at it, we've been kind of trending lower. Again, Nvidia off of its highs as well. One of the chip leaders. Looking at SMCI as well. Again, nowhere near a chip leader, but we can see where it's come from, and it's recently had a stock split as well. Look at that; it was already trending down into some of these levels here from before, and then have a stock split. We've been pretty much going sideways as of right now. I'm just reading Paul's comment. Inappropriate. All right.
Inappropriate.
Yeah, so SMCI downtrend and then LRCX. See if that looks anything similar here. So we've made a bit of a top here at 1131. So 1,131.91 is the high there. Probably all-time highs as well, as a lot of the chips made there all-time highs in and around the similar time
Oh,
as this, and we've been trading a little bit lower going into a split. And again, I don't think split. I don't know. You can probably speak more of this than I can. You've gone through a lot more splits than I have, but usually it's just it changes nothing in terms of what the ticker is. But maybe sometimes you get a bid going into it. I have no idea.
So like nothing fundamentally. First of all, Apple broke the high of the day, and because the market's doing nothing, it's probably going to be a lame breakout. Okay. So I took the Rivian trade. I'll get to the question in a second. I took the Rivian trade on the consolidation lower. Going to play it into VWAP. It's a tight stop into the prior, like not the prior high of the day, but like the morning range high, which is the lower high there. So that's the Rivian trade. 5-6 cents worth of risk, kind of like Intel. Keep it tight to the vest because the market's not moving much. Well, the NASDAQ's trying to go higher. The ES is trying to go higher. Apple broke out the high, so I am long on the break. It did pretty much nothing on that breakout. Like literally. Like there's the break of the high. There's my entry, and that's about it. So Apple's not moving. It does feel like it's going to be a bamboozler, to steal a term from Sharif. But it hasn't, look, it's not, I don't want to give up on it just yet, but I think obviously taking the dip buy at this point seems like it was the obvious decision that we should have done here. So in lieu of that, just going to throw a tight stop in and then regroup. If it gets down here and to play 227 rather than average in, I might just jump out and then look for something a little bit better on Apple. But the question, there we go. There's our tight stop. No, the other thing you can consider, at least for when you have a reverse split, or not a reverse, an actual split, is that options become a little bit cheaper to play, right? Because when you get assigned, it's a cheaper amount, so you can roll smaller lots, right? That can make it more active for retail and more. I guess like people are more excited to play options in SMCI because suddenly you can get assigned the shares and not need to be like rich.
Right.
Rich is the wrong word to use there. So I think it does. I think it does matter a little bit more, but fundamentally nothing has changed. SMCI didn't exactly go gangbusters when they did a reverse split, but SMCI had. I think looking at the historical, how do stocks do after splits was meaningless for SMCI because how many stocks do you know that did a 10-for-1 split? That had a DOJ investigation, that delayed their earnings, that had a short seller report, that went 3x in 1 year and had already given up the entire year's move. Like the list of stocks that had done that going into 10-for-1 split is 0. So therefore, past history on those is completely irrelevant because just everything about SMCI was abnormal on that move. So yeah, it's kind of a one-off. I think Lamb. It might become a tradable stock for us. I think that's going to be the big thing for day traders. I'm excited for it because I like that idea that we can get it. So, we'll get that split effective tomorrow. So for us, our charts don't split adjust, but when it's 10-for-1, it's the easiest math in the world to do. Take all of your levels and just get rid of a 0, and you're good to go. So Apple is now a whopping 3 cents in the money. At best, it went a whopping 4 cents in the money. This is what happens when the afternoon decides we're not going to go. So even if you had the best possible price in this consolidation, you're in the money 25 cents on Apple. It's an interesting day, but not doing much here at the end. T-Daddy, Broadcom did nothing after its split. Don't disagree. Yeah, it doesn't mean things have to start moving at all. It just sometimes they do. When the market's at highs, it's a little bit trickier. I meant to pull up this chart. I don't know if you showed this. Well, I'm looking at the Apple chart doing nothing. Break.
Tesla's running for that 250 right now.
Oh, it is? Okay, good. I want this market to go.
Oh, boy.
Get going to the upside.
Let's see if we can get that 250, man. 249.70 is coming in right here. Range highs from prior right there. Nice little aggressive sell. So we did kind of look like we were breaking down, got stopped out a couple of times, and that bid catches right back on, back into the range, trading above 249s, pushing up towards 250s. 250s is this prior high from before. Right here. Let's see if we can get that bit of a head and shoulders roughly happening here in the midday session as well. Let's see if that can potentially come in, or do we just kind of hold these consolidation highs and just kind of chop on top of that 249 here on Tesla? We've been trading sideways since about 2 o'clock here. So since we kind of started the closing show, we've been pretty much sideways, bit of a test to the upside, bit of a test to the downside, but sideways action more or less here on Tesla I see that Adrian is talking about Softy. Yeah, Softy catching a bit of a bid as well, but it is still kind of in its range. Apple pushing for fresh highs. So yeah, we kind of talk about the ES and the NQ pushing up as well. So Apple is pushing for fresh highs. Alphabet just broke its consolidation range highs as well, slowly trickling up on that. Nvidia, we know that one is pushing for its high of day as well. Bit of a trend off of a VWAP. Couldn't even get down to VWAP either. Oh boy, here it comes back into 249. So I got to keep a closer eye on this one, Neil. But let's see if that bid kind of catches. Or, like I said, we just trade sideways and nothing really happens to this ticker. 250 stays interesting here on Tesla.
It is just, there's a magnet to 250. It's not even a Friday. And you're still, if we're still trading around this price on Friday, Tesla might do nothing. I can only imagine the gravity that price has now, let alone when options are expiring. I think that's going to be a wild one to watch. You'd love to see it break out here, not just because you're long, because a lot of us are long Tesla. And what you always love to see the reaction to a dump like this, a recovery. Like you want to see that V shape. So it's done, like half the job is already done, Tesla. All you need to do is take out the 250. Like if you had $8 to the downside, you got at least 7 or 8 to the upside in here. I might move this resistance line to 258 where it probably should be. 58 is where it closed. 58 is where the top of that move is. So Apple's trying to go Z or Z in the chat. Sorry, we're Canadian, so my dog. Like I grew up. We had this conversation. I grew up saying Z because that's what the rhyme says. Yep. But we're supposed to say Z, and now that they teach that my daughter in school, every single time I say Z, she corrects me. So I have this tendency. If you're like, why does Neil say Z all the time? No, it's because because Aaron will get mad at me when I don't. And you know what? I pretty much do most of the things that my 7-year-old tells me to do, that within reason, because that's how it works when you have a little girl. And you keep it real. So I'm going to say Z, and you guys are going to deal with it. No, I can look at Intel, no questions asked. I was in it. We can come to the chart. I was in it off the 50 level, 2250. It got to 40s. It broke. I got out. Look what it's done since. A whole lot of nothing. However, in the grand scheme of things, this stock stinks. The market's trying to press highs. I mean, everything's breaking higher that I can see. And Intel is hanging out, consolidating off the lows. You can't get much worse than that when the market is green and going higher, and you are distinctly red and doing nothing. So, I mean, I feel like I should be trying to get back into this trade, but it is close to 330. Apple, like I said, Apple's trying to go. Want to get an early look at some of the imbalances. Now, you can just look at the time. This is from the morning on NEO.
Whoa.
But you've got AT&T here with an early look, 1 million to the buy side. That's about it. Toast, I guess, 600,000 to buy. I guess it'll be AT&T, the only one of like half interest. Early look, not really telling us much of anything. We'll give you guys updates if anything of interest happens on the imbalance locator as well. Ozan. What is Ozan? Due to the lack of Mr. Katina, we don't have the blown cow. I kindly demand cow. So I don't have the cash cow button on mine.
Cow. Yeah.
Do you have it?
Yeah.
Ramin, can you hit that? Please, Ramin? If I say please, I'm always nice to Ramin. I don't have it on my stream deck. It's that simple. And I don't know if Obi has access to Sean's, which is weird.
No, I think I have yours here right now.
I don't know why we don't copy Sean's to yours when you're sitting and then you.
Yeah, we gotta do that. We gotta do that still. But
what the heck is that?
I have no idea. Some sort of like the bat siren.
No, it's the kind of sound that sounds like a computer is going to blow up or something. That's not a good sound. Yeah. But can we get the cash cow? Because I wouldn't mind hitting that one today. It was basically Tesla that gives it to you, and the 250 level was the area to get it. And it's trying to break 250 now. Obi's got the long. Hopefully this can break the high. Then we can get Apple breaking the high.
Let's go.
This is what you want to see. There it is.
There it is. Boom.
Ooh. That was a little choppy there. That's fine. You know why it's choppy? Because that'll look better when Tesla breaks 250. Right?
Boy,
it's slow until we break the 250
90s.
level. We need to break that 250.
And we even break the 250. It's 330 right now, so a 30-minute candle is about to come to a close here. And what does a 30-minute chart look like? Oh boy, that's looking nice. A bit of a breakout of prior bar high as of right now on the 30-minute coming in on Tesla. About, what is it, 400 lots sitting there, 250s. Everybody gets printed. We printed a little bit higher by 2 pennies, and we're trading back below there on Tesla. So maybe going to give it a couple more moments to see if it actually kind of pushes. We know that a lot of these even dollars are not necessarily clean. Yeah, so let's give it some room there. Let's see if it can kind of hold that 250 and push up, maybe potential squeeze at the end of the day. We did hold VWAP. We did hold higher lows and higher highs off of a trend off of VWAP. So let's see if there's any sort of continuation through that 250 or that 250 stays heavy. What's going on, Adara?
We're going to end the day by taking a look at some S&P 500 components that are making outsized moves to the upside or downside. Now, we had the segment of the midday as well. We're going to take a look at some names we haven't discussed yet or catalysts we haven't really talked about. CRM, Salesforce, this mentioned earlier today on the upgrades and downgrades, but this actually getting the nod here from Northland Capital. Outperform here is the rating. They're raising their price target from $270 to $400. So nice price target increase here for CRM. Next up, we have to talk here about WBD, Warner Brothers Discovery. To the downside, though, it did just get a nice little pop with a volume spike. We do have a couple streamers, including Warner Brothers Discovery, Netflix, Disney Plus, and Amazon Prime being affected by this new tax here in the Philippines, 12% tax on some digital providers. I saw Spotify was also implicated in this. And last but not least, we have CCI, Crown Castle. This one's been a bit of a bear flag all day. The news here that Zio Group and TPG are looking to bid here on some of their fiber and wireless assets. This could be worth about $10 billion here. So CCI to the downside on that news. Lots of tickers moving on with some pretty extended moves today, guys.
Interesting. A little bidding war for some assets, and you put up that cash, and people are going to immediately discount the stock because if they don't understand the synergies there, sometimes you get a little bit beaten up for it. Yeah, shout out to you, Ozan. We love you there. Husam, look at Chipotle. Yeah, I'll look at CMG in a quick little second. Just a quick update. 250 needs to go. If it doesn't go, I'm short Rivian on a head, kind of a head and shoulders, maybe not as distinctly. We break that high grade. If Tesla never goes, I'm shorting it into VWAP. Apple was the high of the day break, which is not doing anything. Like, it tried to go, and we got a super chat about that. I will get to that one next. But Chipotle, lit grab early this morning, as you could see on that chart, and it's just consolidating off the highs. When I say liquidity grab, see the previous low? Yeah, do a ton of volume. Immediately, the second you get back above the previous support level, all it does is come right back and turn into support again for the ramp up. That's a very bullish setup off the open. Sometimes it can be hard to pull the trigger on a long when it's already bounced that much, like 1.5 points. But you see the sideways consolidation. You know that you trapped some shorts in there and a bunch of people that probably went short in here thinking it was going to roll over again. And it's just a good long setup. Now it's at the highs and doing nothing like everything else is. I shouldn't say that. There's definitely some things at least trying to happen here. It was Pablo. I think we got a couple of super chats we can get to. Colton E, thank you for the super chat, Colton E. We might have missed that one. No message. Just give us some love. So love right back at you. We appreciate you. And Pablo, Apple to 230 before the end of the market. And I'd hope so.
250 break.
I actually don't think it'll get to $230 before the end of the market. That would be a lot for 25 minutes to go in Apple. Now, obviously, this break here of the consolidation high to the next key price level is pretty close to 230. So from a technical standpoint, I get it. That would be the next stop. But doing that in 25 minutes with the imbalances to contend to, when this thing broke, I took the break. This thing broke at, was it 15 minutes ago? Really? It broke 15 minutes ago, and it's not doing anything. So yeah, it would be nice if it could make that move. I'm just not feeling like it has the juice. My stop's in there. I'm risking to the even dollar, so it's really not a heck of a lot of risk on Apple. But it's not making the break that I would like to see. So I had the intentions early on in the day. That same level breaks. I think you can get 230, but I don't think you get that this afternoon. Just not enough time left in the day when you're day trading. Can it get there tomorrow? Absolutely, can get there tomorrow. But maybe we need Tesla to break 250 and drag everything with it.
Yeah, man, that 250 kind of comes in. We print a little bit above 250, and then we're printing back below. 249.75 is holding as of right now. So the question becomes, what I'm asking is, can you hold the quarter and print the whole. And we've done that a couple of times. We're still holding the quarter as of right now, 249.90s, 249.80s trading it. But yeah, a little bit of a pullback in there, potentially a false break of this as well. So I'm keeping an eye on that, but going into the end of the day there, a bit of I like the way the story has been told here in terms of price action here on Tesla. I did flip back to the long there to potentially see if we can get into that 250. We are getting into that 250, but a little bit of a struggle happening here in and around that 250, a lot of volume churning as well. So maybe you just got to get that, well, whoever's selling that 250, you got to get that seller to lift, and maybe we can get some more room to the upside there. Again, high of day is sitting at 251.15. I don't know if we're going to be able to get there, Neil, but that 250 stays a little interesting. Not only intraday, in the pre-market as well, opening range as well, VWAP confluence off of the open as well. Bit of head and shoulders in and around that, or the shoulders sitting at that 250. So a bit of a double rejection there after an attempt to push a little higher through that 251 there on Tesla. So 250 is looking a little interesting as of right now, but let's see how far we can go from here. Bit of an aggressive add through the halves there, but I did have to try it a couple times. We did break trend and then kind of grab that bid right back in to reclaim the trend. So I like that as well. And a lot of this red that's coming in is kind of soaking, holding these 80s as of right now. So not really seeing a strong sell-off, but again, I'm going to try to stay nimble. Where is the next trade is what I'm asking, and this is what I was looking at. I guess Tesla again being one of the main watches for today. Just kind of keeping a close eye on it, looking for more if it'll give it to me here. But this action, oh boy, we were doing a little bit of that P100D right off of the open. And then as we kind of settled in, we're doing more of like a Model 3 type of action here, where we slowed down and a little sideways consolidation here on Tesla. But let's see if we get some of that move, like the Roadster, through that 250, ripping right through. But that 249 halves coming in right now. So, oh boy,
come on! Like this is what. There's just no follow through. By the way, Google, Alphabet is making some moves to the upside. I mean, Apple's right back trying to retest that top. But thank you, Nick Dubs, for the super chat here. Appreciate you, Nick Dubs. Meta bullish setup for a swing and roaring into the close. Okay. So, I mean, Alphabet's roaring into the close. I don't know that I could say that this is roaring into the close. It's hard to... I see it's kind of consolidating right in the middle. So you've got a wedge pattern. Like you, generally speaking, have higher lows and lower highs into a wedge on Meta. So I'm not necessarily seeing the setup. What you can argue is it's consolidating off the top. Now the daily chart's just going to show you fresh highs. So everything up here, these are all-time highs on Meta. And then you've got support from the all-time highs. And so what we're getting is a bit of a compression at the highs. So this makes some sense from a zoom out standpoint of it's compressing at the all-time high. Buying stocks that are testing all-time highs or compressing and putting in higher lows are good places to join trends. That I would tend to agree with. When you do this on good companies and good stocks, it tends to reward you. Something Michael Noss was talking about. So I'm with you there. It's just not making a run into the close is all. It's not really doing anything into the close, which is what the market is doing. Not a heck of a lot of everything. IK saying BTC is drowning. Yeah. There's a reason Coinbase was SSR. I'm just moving over to Bitcoin here. And this is the last couple of days with this move down or a little bit in Bitcoin, you haven't had to worry about Bitcoin flushing and then the Qs being weak or some of the other risk names being weak. It's been disconnected. So you can be long. Like normally, would you want to be long Qs or Nvidia when Bitcoin was doing this? Not really, but Nvidia is doing just fine right now. 119, it's trying to go higher. So it's not that I'm ignoring Bitcoin. I don't have a trade on those outside of the SSR. But look, Nvidia is at the high, trying to break higher, not really doing anything. Apple is still pretty much at the same high, not really doing anything, just trying to claw higher. You've already talked about Tesla, kind of a similar story there. Yeah, you don't really have to worry about, unless you're in one of these other names alongside, like Coinbase, good SSR bounce early because it was 10% down yesterday, and it's just been slowly bleeding lower and lower. But even this is not doing much. Like you see that, like coins on the lows, Bitcoin's on the lows, and this isn't really doing a heck of a lot of anything. It's slow trend, slow bleed to the downside. You just don't want to be over trading here. Apollo saying back to 53. Why not 54? So Apollo, let me just go back to Bitcoin and put up the daily chart on this. And this will be instinctively I went to a 1 hour. I don't know why I just did that. Actually, that's fine. Let's go to a 4 hour chart. So why 53, not 50? I guess, I'm looking at the 54 level, like a reverse head and shoulders that it had. I suppose you're looking at the bottom of the wick. Okay, distinction without a difference. Because to me, I'm looking at the key level as the 54, the head and shoulder support reversal there. So you probably mean exactly the same thing. I don't disagree. From a technical point, I think you've lost the trend. There's a slight downward trend. You couldn't even get back into the top, which is not quite as bullish. When you're doing like a descending wedge, you want it to always get back to the high before you break it out. Now it doesn't get back to the high, so I think a retest of at least one of the support levels on the lows will be good. If it can make a higher low instead of the lower lows, that would be I think that's even better. But yeah, now back on 64, I think I'd agree. I think you're looking like you're headed down into the 54 range, maybe the 53s, as you said.
Oh boy. I'm still kind of watching this tape here on Tesla, just churning this 249 halves, still holding that trend to the upside, interestingly enough. But that 250, man, that 250 did not come in like I was looking for. And again, we still have 20 minutes left in the trading day, so we're going to keep that on watch as of right now. But not looking too hot, that 250, as we trade a little bit lower here. Oh boy, close. Okay, there you go. Get stopped out on that one there. Not too bad. Let's see. Yeah, it didn't take too much of a hit on that one there. I did size in a little aggressively. If you guys were looking at my average, it kind of kept on moving up as I was like, all right, some of these dips I like to buy, but getting stopped out right there at that 32 mark. I pulled my average a little too high there for the rest of my shares, but that's perfectly fine, whatever. Next trade is what I'm looking for as of right now. Oh boy, there it goes, 249s incoming as that 250 reject happens.
What's going down?
75, yeah, we're going down. Bit of a pullback here on the markets as well. Again, only about 8 more minutes till these imbalances come out, so I want to stay a little bit patient for some of these things to come in. And where's the next trade? I have no idea.
There might not be one.
There might not be one.
Like I'm sitting in Apple. I flatted some apples.
Tomorrow.
That sounds weird. Actually, it doesn't.
You flat some apples?
No, it's not going anywhere. So why even, it's 342. Usually at this time, it's like, tighten the stop or do something. I don't want to change the stop from the evens. And it's not moving, so I'm just going to get some out at break even because nothing is happening. That way, if it breaks down, you lose less. Because it doesn't seem like it's not as good an opportunity, so you should have less of it. That's the simple way of putting it. Apogee King Capital, shout out to you. Appreciate the super chat here. This is the easiest question that I've gotten. Actually, since we've gone on YouTube, this might be the easiest question to answer on a super chat ever. Wendy's will have a SpongeBob Pineapple Frosty. Neil, will you try it? 100% I will try it. They have a Krabby Patty too, according to Ramin. I'll try that as well. That's easy. I just have to. I haven't had Wendy's in a hot minute. My daughter's on this. If we're eating burgers, it has to be. I don't know why I'm rolling my eyes. I just told you guys earlier that she gets what she wants. It always has to be McDonald's lately. So
okay, true.
I've been stuck eating a lot of McDonald's, which is fine. They got the Monopoly thing back, so she loves playing that game. Although they bamboozled, and now you got to buy all the chicken stuff, all the regular stuff that's like the Big Mac, smaller fries, whatever that you would think you can get the tickets for. Yeah, the McDonald's stickers aren't on those. They're on like the chicken wrap, the chicken Big Mac. Yeah, that's real smart, McDonald's. That's really smart because now I have to buy the thing I don't want. And then, so I just buy the thing I want and the thing I don't want so that she can get the stickers. But I'll absolutely try that SpongeBob pineapple, whatever. It doesn't matter. I'll eat that. It sounds delicious to me. And the Krabby Patty, I have no idea what's in it, but that sounds like a tasty burger, so I'll try that. So at the moment I decided to trim Apple goes to the high of the day again, because why not? Murphy's Law and all that good stuff. But it goes right to the high and does nothing. Like you can't go more than 10 cents up or down right now on Apple. I'm not making it up. It is absolutely true. That's the entire reason why on Rivian I risk 5 pennies on this. It's like on Rivian you should probably even risk less. So Rivian breaks. This is the high I was working off of, like the head and shoulders. Sit consolidation, look for a breakdown. It does nothing and goes sideways and lose the 5 cents. They're just trying to limit the loss, try to get something out of it. The irony of today in the afternoon is the most gimmicky trade was like the easiest trade to have put on and like the cleanest win you could have. And it's just this silly SGMT thing. When the market's doing nothing, that was pretty much all you really needed. Ultimately, like it's hindsight to say, oh, I would just put everything into that trade and don't make any other ones because it's still actually holding higher. If you took this break, you're still in it, and it hasn't been bad at all. But hey, we went to other places. Apple still might work, but I'm getting very pessimistic about this lack of a breakout. Look at the long consolidation on Apple for it not to be going when it's trying to take out this high. So when the market's strong and it feels like it's strong and someone's holding it like this, that's not necessarily always the best sign. I'm not saying it's a Jeff Bezos moment, but when Amazon, every time it would try to break 200 for a few days, would just do this or sell off. Well, if Apple does this tomorrow, I'm not going to have the best feels about it because you got a big V-shaped recovery, a long consolidation, a couple of liquidity grabs to the downside, one of which I tried to short, the other which was just a good long. It should be going here. Usually this should be going, and you're just not seeing the price action. So someone's trying to hold Apple to the downside when clearly it wants to go up. But all you can do is sit and wait for the move.
Yeah, just getting involved here once again on Tesla. Doing a little bit of a chop up here. Again, 4 minutes left until these imbalances come out. So it should be interesting. Let's see what it does with that 250. Maybe we do blast through that 250. Oh boy, look at that. Nice little, okay, that's interesting. I had to stop at 10s, and then it kind of, I guess it grabs that and stops me out at 21. Okay, well, I'm done with you, Tesla. That's an interesting action there. All right, cool. I mean, that works for me. 10 pennies, I guess, above where I wanted to stop out, and it's trading lower as well. Yeah, let's kind of continue kind of watching. I think somebody in the chat was saying, oh, why aren't you guys still long Clover? But like, yeah, sure, maybe you can get involved with the trend, risking some sort of prior bar lows. Oh boy, here we go. Flushing to the downside through that 249 here on Tesla. So that 250 reject definitely coming in quite nicely there. About a point lower, a bit of a lick grab of prior highs as well. So yeah, that action coming in quite nicely. Going into the close again, 3 more minutes until these imbalances come. But yeah, no, I don't know. I'm not really, here's the thing. I'm trying to get better with trading the trend, and this thing, I was looking at it, I was like, oh boy, this thing is up multiple ATRs, and I'm like, I want to revert this, and that's what I like to do. I'm looking for overextensions that kind of start to break down, but it never really started to break down. I did take a little shot at it here earlier. I think it was in the right below 340s, risking the 343s, and then got stopped out of that one as well. I think it was on this candle, which I was like, oh, that's a nice wiki candle. But again, I am front running the break of the trend there by doing that. The trend hasn't necessarily broken. And that, again, we talk about expanding volume. Look at this volume that's been expanding. And not only the volume that's expanding, the relative volume has been expanding as well. So again, not really, I guess, primed for a reversion just yet, especially with it holding that trend. But yeah, if you want to get long and you're observing, maybe that's what I need to see. If I see the expanding volume and I see expanding relative volume, I can get long, maybe just risking a prior bar low, looking for that trend, maybe not even risking too much on it. Might not be an A+ setup, but it might be like a B, B-, even a C.
There's something happening on GovX.
What's happening
here? So, all right, here's the story that I just heard. Like, it's moving a little bit here on GovX. It just broke the high of the day, but there's some people are circulating an article about a train station in Germany and this is all speculation. This is just I'm reading the story for you guys. The police stormed a train station in Germany. Apparently, there might be a deadly Marburg virus fear.
Oh boy.
So there's Sngx that has some FDA orphan drug status approval for this, and GovX is apparently moving on it as well. Sngx, I'm not familiar with Sngx.
Marburg is part of that Ebola family.
So that'll be SNGX, which might be moving off. So this SNGX is halted to the upside here. $4 stock now halted 464 based on this story. And again, I'm just literally reading it from the newsprint. I have no idea if that's actually true or what may or may not be going on in Germany. But Marburg virus fears in Germany. SNGX halted to the upside. It's 350. The imbalances just came in there. I was just a little bit distracted. Nvidia, 1.3 million to the buy side on Nvidia. Micron is a 1.1 million to the sell side here. Those are the big two. Apple's a buy, but it's not. Apple's 780,000 buy, but it's not moving at all. So yeah, a couple of buy imbalances there. Not gigantic, but they look at least decent enough. So that's the story. That SNGX, obviously, it's probably not going to reopen. That's the thing. Like SNGX, with the halt this late, it might not actually reopen. Apple doesn't even go higher on that move. Yeah, I might just take the opportunity. Come on, I'm going to tighten the stop up. It just made a local bottom after the imbalances at the 10 level. So instead of just giving it to the even dollar because that was my stop before, I'll give it to that release of the imbalance low. And if it doesn't hold that, then I'm just going to jump out of the trade. We got one tick at the high of the day, but I mean, we're talking like 227.30 at that point. Like, that's not even a move there on Apple. So muted afternoon. You had to have, I guess if you had that SNX, you're laughing. That hilarious SGMT was okay, obviously. That little bit of a breakout trade. What happened?
No, just a couple of these imbalances are looking interesting here.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
On some of these markets. So just gonna watching those again. They trade the world, I guess. Well, live trading now, but a lot of different markets that we have access to, and again, some of these imbalances looking kind of juicy here. But take a look at Tesla, man. Tesla, I guess. I don't know. Tesla's coming out with. I don't really see it here. Tesla with a buy imbalance here. You can see it, and a nice little flush to the downside happening on Tesla. So interesting stuff there. Nvidia with a 1.2 million to buy there. Tesla's cracking. So I guess that 250 late grab was it there. That price action coming in right here, 248 incoming. What's going on, Adara?
Just some details here on that Sngx, which was moving on this report. Basically, from what we've heard, is that this is an article again being circulated here, so no confirmation, but apparently a major carrying station in Germany was stormed by police because there were some fears here of this deadly Marburg virus. Sngx is the company that does have the FDA orphan drug status for its vaccination for this virus. In terms of details on the stock itself, which is currently halted up 22%, it does have a float here of 2.28 million shares, a pretty small float. 4.5% of those shares are sold short. Total market cap of just under $9 million. So $9 million market cap, just over 2 million share float here for SNGX, guys.
Yeah, that'll be an interesting one to potentially watch. Maybe we'll keep an eye on that SNGX going into the aftermarket show. Just coming up in 7 minutes, so you don't have to go anywhere. I'll try to get some Q&A in there. In terms of like earnings, we could have gone over earnings. It's not as if we have like a big board or anything. You had Nike, which was the big one already. You're going to get Levi's aftermarket. So like Levi's the big one. We're going to have Chris Bretschers coming back on through. So that'll always be exciting to get his thoughts. Love to see what he was trading today. It's kind of one of those days where did you trade Tesla or did you not? And then everything goes from there. Apple just came out. So it broke that 227. I tightened the stop up. Buy imbalance doesn't move. Break of the high doesn't move. So somebody's selling it at 227. It just can't seem to go any higher here. But the story going into this, at the end of the day here, is Tesla losing 250. It's been about 250 all day long, everybody. And I don't know, in complete, it's all hindsight. Tesla was trending up off of VWAP, but really 250 has just been a short.
Wow.
And that's what you want to do. Is trade that to the south side. So obviously pretty nasty there on Tesla at the end of the day. So, I mean, if you're long it off of VWAP, you never really lost, I suppose, but you certainly gave up some profit if you didn't trade that $250 level. I don't know what's going on with that.
What is going on over here?
I know what you guys are pointing to. There's that crazy Toronto.
Things are like flipping. buy from the sell to a buy. Absolutely wild. Crazy markets, beautiful. God, I love this stuff so much. It's absolutely beautiful. But yeah, I mean, just watching it right now, I'm not really getting involved, but we'll talk about something. We'll
Why
talk
did I
about,
just see in the chat, Woof eats Tesla today?
Woof eats Tesla?
Okay, that's that's some strong talk in their Brenworks. Is that the Brenworks is the name in the chat. So Woof better have some kind of a move for it to eat Tesla today. Okay, on a percentage basis, I suppose. If you got the perfect bottom, or you could take the breakout of the local high, ride it into the top. You get a decent percentage move in there. I don't think you're capturing everything. It's a tricky thing to do, but yeah, it's up 10%. I think you probably need to have a break in here somewhere and trade early. It's starting to give it back up there. So Levi's after the market. It's 3:55. I got to mosey on up to the desk. I don't know why I said mosey, but I'm going to work my way up to the desk because that's what I'm going to do at this time. And Obi, fantastic day. Thanks for filling in for Sean.
No worries.
We'll have Chris Bretcher on the Aftermarket Show. We'll have Levi's earnings. We'll have a look at some of these, what's the name of that virus? Marburg virus stocks. In case they're moving around in the aftermarket. But
for sure.
Thanks, Obi, for everything. Great day today. I'm going to head on to the desk and you take them into the close.
Yes, sir. Thank you, Neil, for everything there. Crazy day there off the open. So we only got about 4 minutes left here. So I'm gonna get that countdown timer ready to go. Don't want to miss that one there. But yeah, let's do a quick little recap of what happened today. Throw it up in the chat. What do you guys think was the best trade on the day? What was, like, again, everyone's playbook is going to be slightly different. In your opinion, what was that maybe that easy money trade? What was that best trade, best opportunity on the day for you guys? I think for me, definitely that 250 again right here. A lot of choppy entries, a lot of messiness here. Let me just make this a little bit bigger so we can all see it together. Here, Tesla deliveries. Again, we said this in the pre-market. One of the biggest catalysts for this ticker, for this EV ticker here, and a little bit of an underperformance there on their deliveries. Only about 1,000 less than expected out of, what was it, 600? I think it was 680 or 690,000, something like that in the morning. But only about 1,000 deliveries less than expected. And take a look at the move that we had, 260 all the way down. A little bit of a rebid in the pre-market shows you that it does not want 250. So I'm like, all right, I'm going to take that information out into the open there. Little flush off of the open. This entry, I got to do better with stopping out on that one. But I'm like, all right, I have given myself enough risk to kind of let it run and get in where I actually want to get in. And that reject of that 250, oh boy, when that comes in, I think that was definitely a strong, one of my better trades today. And then you take it into some prior key levels down to 241s there. So 250s off of a 251 reject. And again, confluence with pre-market, confluence with 250, again, being a psychological level, as well as VWAP. And then you get that strong flush. Got that flush down into 241s, and then you get a reversion there, so maybe that trade as well. But again, I think the best one was this one. Second best would be the lick grab of high of day right there as we bid up into 251s, and then rip right back down into VWAP there, 247. So I like that one as well. I think that was pretty much a lot of people in the chat saying Tesla for sure. Gaurav saying lick grab on Google was a good one for me. Okay, nice. Google was quite nice in the morning as well. DocuSign, didn't really check that one up. Nick W. So let's take a quick look at Docu and see what was up with that one. Docu, okay, cool. There might be some opening range break trend happening there. We know that people were involved with Clover as well. Oh boy, 249's coming in on Tesla, so that ticker is coming right back up to the top there. But yeah, Clover Health as well. I don't know if you knew something about this one and you were in on that. I think it's a sympathy on Humana. I know HUM definitely gave some decent opportunities there. And again, an SSR ticker that makes higher highs and higher lows off of a reversion that started in the pre-market and a little bit of a consolidation underneath that 250 as of right now. MLGO saying EVO hugs. Oh boy, yeah. So a nice little penny ticker that's doing a little bit of a rip here into the close. So, oh boy, lot of opportunities, and people talking about NEO as well. So NEO, yeah, I guess a flush off of the open there, gap up, can't really get to prior day's highs, and then flushing off of the open there. So absolutely wild there. Nice little reversion on the markets as well. So if anybody had that, congratulations to you. With only about 20 seconds, 15, I'm gonna get my hand on this countdown timer and press it right now. All right, so you just got to remember that our closing bell is sponsored by Firefly Neuroscience, revolutionizing brain health there as we go. 3, 2, and 1. Thank you, Adara. All right, so again, thank you all for participating in the chat. Some solid tickers there that moved around today. A lot of interesting opportunities. Again, with Tesla being one of my top ones, doesn't have to be everyone's, but again, a lot of people talking about so many different tickers, right? So that's the beautiful thing about the markets. Depending on your playbook, depending on your perspective, there's many different ways to trade. And again, green day, red day has to do with whether you're following your process or not. So with, I think they might be ready for us at the desk there. So without any further ado, don't go anywhere, guys. Market recap with Neil. See you guys soon. Take it easy.
Thank you very much, Sarah. We got the market recap show tonight. That Sngx stock opens up right as the market closed. That's what happens when something halts in the final 10 minutes of the day. So it opens higher. This was that alleged story in Germany about a train station being raided by police, and then a potential virus out to Sngx. They got the drug for. So it is what it is. It just gapped another leg higher, another 15%, another almost 20%, 50% up now on the Sngx stock. What an unbelievable move! Is like you hope that this isn't you hope it's not true. I'd rather there not be anything bad going on there, but it's definitely running as we're seeing. It was an unreal sort of rebound overall in the market today. Kind of surreal because we started everything out with Tesla, delivery numbers for Q3. It was you're talking about slight miss or slight beat, depending on which analyst you were looking at. Yet it didn't matter early because Tesla took it on the chin today. Tesla took it like a champ though, because I really did feel there was at least that test of the 250 level. So Tesla down what seems like only 3.5% today, compared to what this felt like in the morning. I feel you got a bit of a reprieve. So Tesla at one point was trading as low as $241 after testing $260 today. Ends up closing southbound underneath the 250, as Obi was pointing out to everybody. So not the best. On the flip side of things, you can't make this up. It was one of those kind of days. The market always gives you something new. Tesla was going down and Nikola was going up. We're in bizarro world every now and then. It's like that episode of Seinfeld. Sometimes it's like bizarro world. Sometimes you just got to do the opposite, like George Costanza said. So you had to be short Tesla today. You had to be long Nikola, apparently. Nikola to the upside. It doesn't really matter why, because that's how they roll. The best ever quarter deliveries. No, they had deliveries that were their best ever. So Nikola and their 31% short float actually to the upside today. There was a lot of things in play. I was just talking with Adara about Humana. So they were the SSR bounce that definitely gave. Sometimes the stock can be down 12%, and that doesn't really tell you the story of what happened from the open, because it opened and only went higher. So gap down, nasty move there. They got a cut, and really all it did is short sell restricted bounce through the entire session, closing on those highs. On the flip side, you had Nike earnings, which did a similar move. Not an SSR bounce per se, but Nike down in the aftermarket, delay their investor day, a couple of misses. It was mixed on the top and the bottom. They're not doing their full year guidance anymore. They're going to give some time for the CEO to figure it out. But truth be told, again, down 7%, but from the open, you look at the bottom that got made in the aftermarket on Nike, right around $81.50. You zoom it on in to the open, there is the pre-market. 3 times you go into that level, and then after the open, it touches that level and then just off to the races on Nike. So this is what we mean about support and resistance. Tesla 250 was giving you umpteen opportunities to trade that one to the short side. I think for a better chance because Tesla delivery is about as big as you're going to get. But you could have been trading Nike off that low. It's the same principle. You could have been trading Nvidia off 115. That's the same principle as well. And we're talking about, look, I showed you guys Nike off that 81.75. That's a stock maybe you didn't want to go dip buying on that bad boy today. And maybe Chris Bretcher was trading Tesla or Nvidia. I have no idea, but we're going to find out around 4:15 or when he's ready to come on. But Nvidia at 115 as well. Sometimes trading is not that complicated if you're looking for key levels and support and resistance. Because I'll tell you, when I look at Nvidia, you can pop up a 15-minute. What stands out to you in terms of levels? Bounces off 15, bounces off 15, bounces off 15. So if you're watching this morning and Nvidia is your stock, this is the overnight low. This is the bounce in the morning, right off 115. Straight upside on the 15-minute candle. From that bounce, you have nothing until you get to 118. That's as clean as this. 2.5 points. What more are you asking for? The only reason that didn't get traded on the show today was because Tesla 250 was better and Tesla had the delivery numbers, which is what we're all about. So 410, we're going to get Levi's earnings. I think that could be interesting at 410. They do have a bit of a short float, but I feel like there's something that tends to get ignored a little bit. When Tesla is a story, we trade Tesla. When AI is a story, we trade Nvidia. When big cap tech is out there, we're trading big cap tech. FXI, I'm going to go back to a 3 here. Look, whether you're talking FXI or KWeb, which I guess is the name that we've been talking about more generally speaking, the Chinese names today decided that they were going to gap up and then fill the gap. So this is KWeb, huge gap up. The rally continues on everything that is China, but today you really had to weather that storm. Like we're talking about a very clean downward trend in KWeb. Maybe I'll draw this for you. Very clean downward trend in KWeb, and you had the lower lows, you had the higher lows like this. Now you didn't really have the same angle, but it doesn't really matter. If you are a mean reversion trader and you see this, there's your lower lows, there's your lower highs, and then you see where this kind of connects in there, you have an obvious setup for a breakaway long. And when it made that break, this is right at about noon, you get the break higher, hold the same level at 37.5 support on KWeb, and then off to the races. When we talk about mean reversion trades, this is what we mean. It's about breaking a trend. Clean trend, lower highs, then goes steep. When it breaks that trend line, slight consolidation, then to the upside. It's just the move on China has been so unbelievable. Like, look at the daily chart on KWeb, everybody. Unbelievable. Since it broke out, you're just clean through. A lot of those moves are gapped overnight. You have the holidays in mainland China that'll be over on the 8th, I do believe. So they're just running higher. They weren't the only thing going. Obviously, you're going to see SMH up here, 1.5%. Pretty solid move for SMH on the daily. Bouncing off the 50-period moving average very, very nicely for SMH. Little bit of a dip toward the end of the day. I think, yeah, a little bit of a dip toward the end of the day, but holding support, that's fine. Like, you got a bit of a bull flag set up there going with SMH, but for the most part, holding on to a bunch of those gains. Like I said, that 1.5%, not bad at all. You had a little bit of a pullback in oil this morning. There was a rally toward the end of the day after oil futures closed. You also had, you did have numbers at 10:30 there as well, and that's kind of what caused this move right in here. So you had, and what was it? I actually got very, very lucky. Right before the oil numbers were coming out, XOM was holding on to VWAP. Upward trend. We were trading Indo yesterday, great upward trend. If you were trading Oxy yesterday, great upward trend. But today, I looked at XOM and was holding VWAP on a pullback, was starting to trend. But 10:30, we had oil inventory number. I was on the bid. I'm like, oh, we have inventories in 8 minutes. Cancel the bid. And so inventories come out, and this is what happened. This is USO. Goes into a downtrend, previous support, downward trending. That's why you don't always want to enter a trade right in front of an economic number, especially if it's a key one for the space. I feel like that's sort of obvious. in here because, look, XOM had put in, there's your dip at the open, there's a higher low, there's it breaking the high, there's it pulling back into VWAP, and then you have the oil futures number, and then boom, it just trends to the downside after that. I suppose I could have used that for reversal to go short, but you're not going to catch absolutely every single trade. But you can save yourself from mistakes by waiting until the number comes out, and it can confirm your trade. And if it doesn't, you don't have to make the trade. If it does, then go right back in and grab that trade and do with it as you will. Not a very good day for the Jets ETF. JET, not a very good time for the Jets offense in a general sense either. So the Jets ETF looking about as strong as the Aaron Rodgers-led Jets offense. How they managed to maybe put 10 points or 9 points versus Denver. I know the weather was bad, but come on. Denver beat you. But the Jets ETF goes into the highs and pulls back. So this is one, I guess, worth watching. I tend to feel like these things are utilities. I don't like investing in them, but owning them, you can certainly do. That's certainly possible. Own them you can't do, but trade them you can do. The 50 period is going to be interesting on a pullback. I don't have the numbers from Levi's, by the way. So I know it's 410 and it's moving now. I was just looking over. Like, it's already down and up. I have not gotten the numbers yet. There we go. Finally, they're starting to come through. No, I don't have the numbers. They're saying they've reported and they haven't gotten the number yet. There was a false move to the downside, which I thought was just that's probably a false breakdown. Someone came in early because now there we go. Now I've got them. So net revenue's up. Sorry, net revenue's flat, 2% up in constant currency. Margins rose to 60%. EPS 5 cents per share there. They reaffirmed their guidance. 117 to 125 on EPS. I mean, that doesn't really look all that bad so far. We'll see what else we get out of Levi's. But no, they're taking it on the chin. So they must not like a little something in that note for Levi's is, it looks like that initial move to the downside is true. Now, when it made that first move, I didn't have the numbers out here. Come to the chart for a second before we get, I know Chris is going to be on in a bit, but that first move down, I didn't have the numbers. Then it bounced, numbers came out. Doesn't look that bad across the board, but you're down 11% and it is not looking good. The only way this is a bang is if you are to the south side on Levi's. 6% short float. What I will at least say about the retail names, however, is recently we've seen this story before where you're down on earnings and then you get a nice little V-shaped recovery. The problem is that's been when they've been beaten up. Levi's has been in an upward trend. So I feel like it's made the big rally, and all of a sudden people are taking profits here on Levi's. It doesn't really look all that bad overall, but it doesn't matter. There's no such thing as good or bad earnings. They're right in the midpoint when it comes to that full year, so you can't really call that bad. Actually, no, they're not at the midpoint. The story just said at the midpoint with the estimate of 1.25 in the EPS. No, but the range was 117 to 127. The midpoint's 122. That guide is underneath. So I'm reading the headline and it said EPS at midpoint. No, it's not. The estimate was 125, 17 to 27. That means 22 is the mid. So their guide is underneath. So I think that's why you're taking it on the chin. I see in the chat there, Darwin saying HKD is making a move. I guess that'll be the last thing I look at before we get to Chris. I don't know why HKD would be making a move after market. I don't see any news on this. Just remember, this is pumped and dumped many, many times before, famously to 2,500, and then all the way back into the downside was that HKD. But look, Levi's still holding the lows, 19 even. If you're wondering where can it get to, it's got a bit of a gap fill already. The 50 period and the 200 period line up here at 19 and change, and that's where it seems like it's bouncing. I think you got technical support at 18.5, and you got major moving averages just above that are going to keep it afloat, at least for the time being here on Levi's. So I do believe, are we ready? Chris is ready. So Levi's earnings, want to make sure we got that to you. They're bouncing off major support areas on the 50, the 200, as Levi's taking on the chin. I think it's because of that guidance miss. But time to get into a little bit of trader talk with our good friend Chris Brecher. Chris, it's good to have you back. First things first, welcome. Thank you back, Chris Brecher from Simpler Trading. How was it? You were at Disney. Was it Disney World, right? Or was it Disney?
Yeah, Disney World Orlando, right when the hurricane was coming in. And luckily, you know, I look at those spaghetti models and all that stuff. You know, we did fine. And GNRC's only rallied 20 since I told you about it. But what's interesting in there is I saw the feeder bands and all this, and I said, we're going to be fine. So luckily we were fine. It was really rough driving back up to Atlanta and seeing the damage everywhere, though, on I-75. It's pretty sobering. But Disney itself was fine.
Okay, I'm glad to hear that. That was the thought. I'm like, oh, was everything okay? And did you have a good time, at least to the extent that you could? Having, you know, my family being from the West Indies, knowing the devastation of hurricanes, I have family who lives in Florida as well. You just hope that everyone's safe and then, you know, and able to rebuild. Like the human spirit's an amazing thing. Mother Nature is not playing around, ever. But Chris...
no doubt my sister-in-law lives in Asheville, so it's not a good site there. So they have to bring in, mules had to bring in supplies. Wow. Pretty rough.
No, that's pretty rough, and no question about it. And you never want to make light of things like that because they're really serious. And we talk about things in terms of the market impact all the time, but you get that human aspect, and it can be very, very sobering. So wish everybody the best.
Yeah, me too.
I was saying so before you came on, or actually at the end of the day there, Tesla was making this test of the 250 level, which was just a godsend of a level today. Were you looking at, I think everybody on our floor, like the first place they started, deliveries came out, it was Tesla, 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 until things calmed down after the first 30 minutes. And were you trading Tesla today? Like, where were your eyeballs? Because it was easy to just focus on that as a day trader and get lost in sauce. Great trading opportunities, but there was so much out there happening. I mean, I missed an Nvidia trade off 115 support level. I missed a Coinbase trade when it was short sell restricted off the bounce. But Tesla was so good, it was going to be your best stock if you had that 250. What was your look today in general?
Yeah, well, Tesla, I'll tell you right now, I don't understand why anybody buys it the night before delivery. Like you said before I got on, wait to trade it after news comes out. There's more than enough to do. And I agree with you. But Tesla is also notorious for filling gaps. So on that sell-off right here, so I was on live. I'm like, if you're going to take a stab, that's your zone. But the first thing I try to do in the Tesla, I didn't trade it.
Okay.
First thing you try to do is when it hits that zone, do you then get some kind of reversal pattern? So here you go again with sort of a Stewie pattern right in there. You know, I like to highlight it from Stewie, from Family Guy, but at least you got it when it started turning. So instead of trying to buy on the way down, and you had that backstop of that gap. So it's this is just notorious for filling gaps.
Yeah, I agree with you 100%. And no, look, we were both, myself and Obi were shorting that one off the 250 level, and hindsight's always going to be 2020. Like I was looking at support on the daily at 235, and I was sort of
me too.
Yeah, like I had it in my head that it might just trend down into the 235 level today, just based on like you were just at the 52-week high. I think you had a lot of people looking long into the break and consolidation longs into a potential break if they blew it out of the water. It wasn't like it was a crazy miss. I think people just got themselves trapped, and then you had to sell the news event. It just never got there. So the 41, OBL to the 41, I was like, why didn't we go long off the 241? Hindsight's always going to be 2020 in the moment. You just have to have yourself a trading opportunity in there for you. So if you weren't trading Tesla, Chris, what was your flavor of the day? Because China was a possibility, chips were a possibility again. There was Nikola of all things was running high. There's so many places you could have been today.
Yeah, well, the first thing is I thought I'd bring up what you were talking about with Levi's.
Right.
Is, you know, I like looking at unusual option activity, if there is any. And I started to see it in Levi's. I didn't do anything in there. I mean, you see, if you bought the 20 puts, they're 70 cents. Now they're 67 cents in the money. So it wasn't a good risk reward. But I was looking at the out of the money put action. I always look at puts more than calls. So I saw the call activity right here, 5,000. and I saw the 5,000 of the 21 puts, but it was the farther out. And watching that this was 1,500, 2,000, 2,000, and this was 4,000, 4,000, and then another 4,800. So I was like, this is probably going down. I didn't know how to structure it because it doesn't have weeklies, so I didn't do a trade in it. If I would have, I probably would have done something like a put fly around 20 under the market. So something like a 23.17. I looked at it, but it was $1.23, seemed a little rich. So I like doing those for like 70 cents. So a 3-point wide with earnings. So especially with 16 days left, but that option activity did make a difference. And that's something you can take advantage of when earnings start next week. I think it's seen unusual put activity is a lot more important than unusual call, because I call it the Robin Hood effect, but most people like buying calls. So usually the put people know if it's unusual. And like I said, it's you have to be picky, but you can see on the volume of the puts today of how they started coming in for the puts.
Yeah, and you know what? The other thing that's true is, I mean, I was real time watching Levi's. I had the chart up, even though we were talking about some other things, but I had the chart up and I was getting real time the numbers. Like there was a move down that seemed like it was starting before you even, certainly before you got the guidance. Like there was already selling on kind of like a muted EPS number. Like there was somebody already starting to sell that one off. And then it bounced because the numbers weren't out fully yet. And then when they did come, it was just another tank down lower. So I think you're spot on with maybe looking for that put action, especially when you have, I mean, ultimately the stock had just gone from an August low of 16.6, made a 40% rally. And it's not as if the daily chart, the daily chart had been a pretty nasty drop on Levi's. So you got a very good recovery back to some levels that I feel like some people would have been, if they were trapped long, they would have been pretty happy to see, like, when you get above $20 on Levi's. So from a general sense, I feel like you also had some profit takers in there to maybe add to some of that selling on Levi's. So outside of that, it's already 421. It's kind of crazy.
Yeah, it went right to where it was, let's say, a week ago.
Yeah.
I think you're going to see that with a lot of earnings, is if a stock rallies sharply into earnings, no matter what, it reverts back to where it was before earnings. So if Levi's is any kind of tell for the rest of the markets.
And the other thing, too, is like the expected move, we're almost spot on. We're expecting a 10% move. You know what, I've thought about this for a few times myself, and I don't wonder, and maybe you have some experience with this, Chris, not to put you on the spot, but if you have like the last line of consolidation, so like it's like the obvious support on the daily, right? Like there's your 50 periods at like 19 and a quarter. Look where this consolidation was as resistance. So you have that kind of a marker at 19 and a quarter. And you have an expected move of 10%. Like if you come up from, 10% up from that level, just kind of count up, and then you ask yourself, okay, that's like $21, right? So, and what I'm getting at with this is like earlier, like yesterday, let's just say, let me put up a 15-minute chart, because you were at, obviously you're at $21 today. Maybe you can't trade there. But if you look at it like just before earnings, like the day before, knowing that you've got this level at 19, obviously 10% move puts you at the 21, and I look at it just sort of gradually grind into that 21 level, and then you get the earnings. Is there something to that? Like, can you ever use something like the expected move, an obvious area support or resistance where the stock, hey, if I'm thinking it's going to drop, this is where it could drop to at this obvious level, count 10% up from that, maybe it's going to glide down to that price, so it's almost at the perfect spot to make that move. I've seen this several times on multiple stocks. I've never tried to short something going into that particular price in anticipation of an earnings drop. I'm wondering if there isn't some kind of a trade there.
Well, I'll tell you, like when we were on the floor, the way we'd game the system is we'd talk about at 21 where it closed. The support is 2 points lower. The resistance is that gap, which is 2 points higher. So the expected move should be 2. I mean, believe it or not, it's as simplistic as that. That's how we do it. Yeah. So we'd look at that. Now, if you're right, The problem is if I was looking at a put fly or a call fly that's $1.23, the problem is then you're only protected to 21.5 on the upside if it goes, if it goes up,
Right.
you're doing around 20 and only 17, 18.5 on the way down. It just didn't seem like a good risk reward.
Okay.
That's why I'm telling you, if it was like 70 cents, it would have been worth it. But definitely those ranges of support and resistance have a lot to do why the expected move was what it was.
Gotcha, and appreciate you answering that. Like one of the things probably the most valuable thing out there when traders talk to each other is, hey, if I'm getting an opportunity to talk to someone like yourself who's going to have a much better understanding of options because you trade them and I don't, then when I see something that I'm curious about, I'm going to go and ask an expert. That's what we all try to do. That's what the community is all about here. So thank you so much for answering that question. I really do appreciate it, Chris. So if we're getting into earnings, the first thing we get in earnings season are the banks. Is there something in particular, because I know we're not going to get to talk to you again till next week, and by then, we'll be working back into earnings season. Is there something you're looking for in particular? I know you've just mentioned things that are running higher, maybe to look for some reversion trades. Do you have anything specific on your mind before we get you out of here?
Well, by the way, I wanted to go over real quick because you were asking what we were trading. We were trading bonds versus the Dow Jones Commodity Index today and yesterday, which worked really, really well. We made like 50% on a trade. And I'm dual broadcasting with two of the rooms, so I get to humiliate myself twice as much. So luckily it was a good trade. But and I'll show you that in a minute. But let me just show you something else pretty interesting is about JP Morgan Chase.
Here we go.
It's in its buyback blackout now. So I know we talked about that some of the other sessions. So 5 weeks prior to earnings, they voluntarily don't buy back stock. What that means to me, it doesn't mean it has to go down, but it means if it has bad news, it's more likely to go down. So a lot of times Apple's had bad news and done nothing because they were buying back stock. So bad news is more likely to affect it negatively. And what's interesting is ever since the buyback blackout, the stock's basically on its low. It hasn't bounced at all, while the SPX is all the way up here. So pretty interesting of that once these things start to have a buyback blackout and have bad news, they're not there to prop up the stock. So for me, I'm not going to touch the JP Morgans because it's not at an extreme. So it's sold off into earnings, but it hasn't sold off enough where I think it's going to shrug off the earnings. But the day of the earnings, they can start buying back stock again. So I have a feeling JP Morgan's going to be a non-event.
That's interesting. That's good to know. Some people in the chat saying it's a good dividend, but I think trading around earnings, I just want to have a structured plan because we're all going to be looking at these names when they come through. It's interesting, just to point at your point of the weaknesses it's had during that blackout. You also had a trade where you could have just shorted it off the 50 period on the daily for a couple of days as a nice little resistance level as a trend trade. For an example, just for our viewers out there, it's not as if it was only a swing type of notion. There was that 50 period on JP Morgan around 210, 211 that you maybe could have been taking on a day trade basis. Like there was a few days of resistance in there. A couple of probably scalps as it would just run into it then revert, but then a few nice downward moves that you could have played. In that 50 period, you can see the resistance is clear as day on JP Morgan. Thank you, Chris, as always, man. I know you did have a trade that you wanted to talk about, so I appreciate you giving us a look on JP Morgan. We got a minute left to be able to go over the trade that you did have today.
Sure, I'll show you on what we did. So I think the Fed watches commodities a lot more than people talk about, and I think that's one reason that you saw Powell talk about that they might not cut as much. Look at the Dow Jones Commodity Index on the right, just parabolic. So what we did is yesterday, when the Dow Jones Commodity Index was doing this, yesterday, not today. So when it was doing this yesterday, in this zone, we were buying TLT. So TLT puts. So everybody thought TLT should go up because of a flight to quality. because of the Mideast situation, we were shorting TLT. So we were going on the Dow Jones Commodity Index on, let's say, a 15-minute chart going straight up. And basically what we were doing in there is combining that with the bear flag and the TLT and the gap down here. So that's why we shorted it. Now, you might be like, well, why'd you cover your short? Because the Dow Jones Commodity Index went straight down after the opening. And sure enough, TLT after the opening went straight up.
There you
so
go.
It's fascinating to see that correlation with the commodities.
Yeah, great catch there. Definitely, obviously, for a lot of our viewers, might be a sophisticated trade, but a lot of times if you can find that relationship to get in, I always remind people, if you have a reason that you're like, whoa, if it's trending, why would you get out of the trade? If you have a reason that you're in the trade, well, if that reason no longer exists, then you've got to get out of the trade. Sometimes that can mean it looks like it's still trending down and consolidating for another leg, but if you're looking at your indicator that got you into the trade going the other way, you got to be able to take those profits. And you can't make any money if you don't take profits, Chris. So I'm glad you got that one. Congrats.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. That arrow that you see there, I actually put on the chart 2 days ago that if it sold off, it could go and fill this gap. So when it filled that gap and the commodities sold off, we were out, took our profit.
That's what you got to do there. So there you go. Profitable trade coming back. I'm glad that, look, I'm really happy that your Disney World trip was able to be salvaged. I mean, that was a concern. You just saw all the stories. I'm like, okay, well, I hope it was good for you there. So I'm really happy to hear that. Chris Brecher, Senior Managing Director from Simpler Stocks, great friend of the show. Thank you for coming on. Can't wait to talk to you next week. Best of luck with all of your trades. Rest of the week here, Chris.
Hey, thanks. You too.
All right, take care. Always a wealth of knowledge to be able to talk to Chris, who's been in the game and knows what he's doing. I love the opportunity we get in the Aftermarket show and when we have guests on. I'm not an options trader. To be able to talk options and get an understanding of what these guys look at going into earnings. There was a story, just before we get out of here and do our, we're going to get into roll call, there was a story I put in the chat on Levi's exploring strategic options, a review of their Dockers brand. So they might sell Dockers. When they start talking about selling brands to trim, usually that means bad things are happening. Maybe they can get some cash out of it in reverse. So thank you so much to everybody. It's been a wild day. Thank you to Obi for filling in for Sean. Big shout out to Ramin, who was on the 1s and 2s. She had some help. She obviously had a little bit of help, but mostly she was solo on there and did a fantastic job of it. Big shout out on the midday, by the way. I want to shout out to Satya coming back on there. Wish Sharif talking about the level 2. And look out on socials because Andre's been doing some good stuff. I'm going to be doing some stuff with him, hard at work there to make sure that we have some new content for you. Big shout out to Brennan as always, and big shout out to Adara, everyone. And big, massive shout out to Bears versus Bulls, the best moderator in the business. And now we can do a little bit of roll call. Of course, thank you to Chris, but we got to get the names out there. Make sure you get your name in the chat. If you want to be in the chat, hit that sub. If once you're a subscriber, you can be in our community and chat with us and get your name read out in the roll call, starting with Finch Jane. We got Finch Jane in the house. Muddy Waters Bookshelf. Short seller alert. The Piper in the chat. We got Junan Shawcat. We got Pitchbull, we got For Profit, we got Michelle Meir, we got Dom H, I believe I just saw, there we go, Dan H. Once again, we got The Piper, Volky, Daryl Finch, we got Havana Woody, we got Bora Hout, we got Mary L, Bristol, Sebastian, what up, Moy Cansado, Jai Singh, Elon Musk. Good one there. What up, buddy? Eli 7721, we got Vercut, we got Concrete Critic. What up to you? Dollar bill, y'all. Cash rules everything around me. Cream, get the money. Dollar bill, y'all. Palm trees and good vibes. Breaking VWAP. Fluffy Hippo. Hold on a second. I'm going to pause. Fluffy Hippo, shout out to you because I saw in the chat there that Darryl was in the chat talking about trading. Fluffy Hippo gave the words of encouragement. The good vibes were right there. The women in the community are amazing to each other, but traders should just be amazing to each other. Shout out to you, Fluffy Hippo, for the encouragement of your fellow traders. There's nothing better than that because trading is not an easy business. Fat Figure we got in there. We got Brandon Townsend. Sid in the chat. We got TC, Mary Jose, we got Ron Miller, T Daddy, Kerry Gruen as well, Imperial Music Fan, Narrow-Minded One at the Detail Bluff. Shout out to all of you. I wish we get to them all, but the siren did go before this, and it's already 4:34. So thank you, everybody. It's been a wild one. Tesla deliveries were unbelievable opportunity to trade that 250 level. So hopefully that was your best stock, but there was so much to get out there. Best part? Get to come back tomorrow and do it. It's halfway through the week. We got Thursday, we got Friday. So tomorrow morning, bright and early, 8:30, we're Trader TV Live, and we'll see you tomorrow.